This is Adelaide's FIVEaa.
Sunny and 24 today with the 6 o'clock news. I'm Kendall Brettig.
FIVEaa Extra is a registered NDIS provider, so let them support you in achieving your goals. FIVEaAextra.com.
The Syrian community is in mourning after a teenager drowned off Browns Beach on the York Peninsula. 16-year-old Ahmad Alfaran of Paralawi had jumped into the water to rescue a friend who had slipped off rocks. Superintendent Mark Sirris says it's a tragedy.
The boy's father was here, and again, tragic that he had to witness his young son being located.
He was on a school trip with 8 classmates and 2 teachers from Pinnacle College. They've been offered counselling. Major crash officers are investigating a 3-car crash at McLaren Vale last night. It happened at the intersection of Main Road and Johnston Road. One woman was airlifted to the Flinders Medical Centre in a critical condition. 6 others were taken to hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. Health authorities in Queensland believe they've found one of the missing links to an earlier outbreak. The brother of a man who was diagnosed on Thursday is the state's latest infection. It's believed he caught the virus as a result of a cluster at a Brisbane hospital in mid-March. While the UK has hit a major COVID milestone, delivering 30 million doses of the vaccine. More from Nine's Kari-Ann Greenbank in London.
Across the UK, more than 30 million people have now received their first dose of a vaccine, a new record for the nation as restrictions are about to ease slightly, including the resumption of outdoor sports. The next month will be a bumpy one though, with significant reduction of Oxford AstraZeneca vaccine supply due to delays from India, along with ongoing tensions with the EU. By late April though, the first Moderna doses are set to arrive in the UK.
Voter approval has dropped for the Prime Minister in the latest news poll as Scott Morrison deals with ongoing sexual harassment allegations within the coalition. His approval rating has dropped 7 points over the past fortnight to 55%. Approval for opposition leader Anthony Albanese is steady at 43%. And federal Labor's targeting new families with a new paid parental leave scheme. It would allow parents to take up to 6 months off at full pay. Under current rules, the primary carer of a newborn can receive up to 18 weeks at the minimum wage. Engineers and IT experts are working to come up with a fix to a cyber attack on the Nine network. The company's having difficulty producing TV news out of its Sydney headquarters. Cybersecurity expert and former federal government advisor Paul Toomey says it could be coming from offshore.
The sort of people, you just take Russia for instance, there's about 30 cyber gangs working in Russia. They do about $2 billion worth of business every year out of these these types of attacks.
While Foreign Affairs is investigating a potential cyber hack at Parliament House, the email network had to be shut down across the weekend due to an IT issue. And marijuana has been legalised for recreational sale in New York State. Those over 21 will be allowed to grow and buy the drug for personal use. It's already been legalised in at least 14 other US states. Now turning to FIVEaa Sport.
The 19th is West's premium home and land collection with golf course views. Visit the 19th West today.
Here's Tom Wren.
Thank you, Kendall. Adelaide and Port Adelaide's players will recover this morning following their weekend matches. The Power are on top after round 2, while the Crows are back in 12th after losing to Sydney by 33 points. Well, Leon Cameron will consider wielding the axe ahead of Sunday's match against Melbourne at Manuka Oval. The Giants are 0-2 after last night's 31-point loss to Fremantle. The margin could have been a lot more had the Dockers kicked straight. The GWS coach looking at a number of personnel changes for round 3.
No doubt there's going to be a lot of players that are under the pump. You can't serve up that sort of stuff. We're playing a side that's in fantastic form in Melbourne. We're in Canberra, our second home. We haven't been down there for a year and a half, so we need to respond with a really, really strong effort.
2 other games yesterday. The Bulldogs beating West Coast by 7 points, while Richmond got over Hawthorn by 29 points. And the Crows women's side has finished on top and has another huge opportunity for a premiership after a rousing 14-point win over Collingwood. Let's go to soccer, and Adelaide United's stunning forms continued after a 1-0 win against Sydney. It's the Reds' 6th straight win and first over the Sky Blues since 2016. The Adelaide 36ers' woeful form, those continued after going down to Cairns by 14 points. The injury-hit Sixers are in 7th spot. And Lewis Hamilton has won the Bahrain Grand Prix ahead of Max Verstappen, while Aussie Daniel Ricciardo was 7th. And that's the 5AA Sport.
Now the 5AA forecast.
Make sure you and your car stay cool with aircon and cooling services. Call 1300 Automasters.
Sunny and 24 today, sunny again tomorrow, 27, 29 for Wednesday and up to 30 on Thursday. At the moment 13. More news as it happens on 5AA.
Get up to $100 instant cash back on top tyre brands at Bob Jane T-Marts. You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
6 after 6, good morning to you. Welcome to Monday on 5AA Breakfast. Coming up on the program this morning, we're off to the US before 7 o'clock. We'll talk about a development at Alderton by the Port Adelaide Football Club that has local residents up in arms. That's after 7. Jane Riley will join us to talk about the passing of Villy over the weekend. Sad news and an absolute icon in this state. Kate Ellis will be on the show to talk about the release of her new book that's already making headlines. And also we'll speak with Ian Parrott from SAPOL about their Selfish Prick campaign. David Penberthy, good morning to you.
Good morning, Will. Good morning, listeners. I'll tell you what, the death of Villy, I love the Barry Humphries line about at least there'll now be a great pie in the sky. What a great South Australian. Part of the great sort of multicultural success story that is Australia. And I think, I can actually remember, I'm not exaggerating this, I can remember the first time I tasted a Villy's pie and I went, far out. What have they done to the pastry? Like, this is...
Yeah, I remember the first time I had a pasty because I was a really picky kid for food. I was impossible to get food for when I was a little kid.
Oh, really?
I just didn't eat anything. Absolutely nothing.
Seriously? Actually, that doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, no, but these days I'm significantly less picky. As our live stream viewers will attest to. But I remember it because it was one of the first things that normal people ate that I really enjoyed.
Yeah.
And I didn't like any other form of pie, pasty, pastry or anything.
Seriously?
Yeah, and I had one, and my parents thought, well, this is never going to work because it's peppery.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
and it's sort of a different flavour. So I remember it really distinctly. It was like the first time I did and ate like a normal grown-up.
The shortness of the pastry is the key, but the other thing is the variety. Like, have you ever had the goulash pie, which is a nod to his heritage?
Yeah.
With the capsicum and the potato, and it's unbelievably good. But yeah, 72, far too young. There was a debate, I'll reveal this, there was a debate on Saturday at the Sunday Mail. Someone had come up with the headline, Rest in Peas. I think they could have pulled it off. Like, I think there was a way that the headline, as befits the man who did so much to keep the pie floater alive, it could have been done in a way that was because sometimes you need a bit of levity at moments like these.
Well, I think the degree to which you get away with something like that, it depends on the person. Yeah. And from what I know about him, he would have found that pretty funny.
I reckon he would have.
So I think that matters somehow.
Well, and this is why the Barry Humphries line was so terrific too, the pie in the sky. But yeah, Vale Villy, what a career, what a businessman too. He employed a lot of South Australians. One of the kids at Sam's school, his dad works at the Villy's factory. His name's Sam too. So if you're listening, Sam, because I know that all the guys who work the night shift there are big 5AA listeners, and I don't know, there's got to be some sort of state funeral or something.
Yeah, well, it was pretty powerful reading the list of tributes that were in the Sunday Mail yesterday from everyone from the Premier to figures in politics, business, Sam Shaheen and others. Yes, we'll talk about him with Jane Riley after 7:30 today. Tough morning for the Prime Minister waking up this Monday morning because he's gotten hard data now, the impact of his mishandling of all the goings-on in Canberra. Yeah. His personal approval rating is the story. They do trail two-party preferred, but that's unchanged from last time news poll came out, 52-48. His personal approval has shifted 13 points. His approval's gone down 7 and his disapproval's up 6. He's still significantly preferred to Anthony Albanese as the preferred Prime Minister, but he personally is clearly wearing a lot of the fallout of what people see as the mishandling or just striking the wrong tone. I'm not even sure if it's classic old-fashioned government mishandling. It's just not being able to sound and say the right things at the right moment.
Yeah, I think that's right. And yeah, he looks like it's all bigger than him, like it's all beyond his control. And that's a dangerous thing for a politician on any subject. You know, when you look like you're just standing around being useless or hopeless or hapless, however strong you want to go with it. But, you know, we said a couple of times last week, like that press conference was basically 20 minutes of nothing when he was tearing up.
Yeah.
Like, if you're going to cry, fine. What are you going to do about it? What's your 5-point plan? And then over the weekend, my God, Andrew Laming.
Gee.
This is the Queensland Liberal MP. How's this? It turned out a few years ago he was at a gardening business, a nursery or something like that, and there was a woman there, a constituent of his, not someone he knew, and even if you did know, you probably wouldn't do this anyway. But she bent over, and apparently she's quite a good-looking woman, and she had a G-string popping out the top of her jeans. So he got out his phone quickly, just took a quick pic of her, and they turned around to him at the time and they said, "Mate, did you just take a picture?" Yes.
What a creep.
And they said, "Can you delete it?" "Oh, all right." So that story's come out with a whole bunch of others. There's some crazy, crazy stories about this bloke. But how does it work now that So he's announced that he's quitting politics at the next election. So for the next year, we pay him as taxpayers $250,000 a year to do nothing.
If the position of the federal government's position in the lower house wasn't so precarious, is he gone right now?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yep.
If you've got a 10-seat majority, you just slot the bloke.
That's right. Yep. It's impossible to feel otherwise. 12 after 6, 8223 0000 is our number. You can text us on the Telstra Storm Out Market text line 044808 1395. News headlines in just a moment.
Save up to 55% off discontinued Beautyrest Black mattresses and ensembles now at Harvey Norman. Now's the time to upgrade your mattress and support Australian-made manufacturing. Plus, purchase with 60 months interest-free and receive a bonus gift card up to the value of $500. Minimum finance amount $1,000. Approved applicants only. 60 equal monthly payments. Interest applies if you do not comply with terms and conditions. Fees and exclusions apply. Save up to 55% off discontinued Beautyrest Black mattresses and ensembles exclusive to Harvey Norman.
Hop into Coles for half-price chocolate treats. There's Cadbury Favourites Cream Egg 820 grams, Mars Maltesers 400 grams, and even Toblerone 360 grams, all half price. Coles. Value the Australian way. Offer ends Tuesday, April 6 while stocks last.
Adelaide property values are at an all-time high. They grew by 5.9% in 2020 with really strong buyer demand. In some areas, demand is greater than supply. Vendors regularly getting multiple offers for homes with sold prices well above expectations.
Now, we know that our friends at Toop and Toop work across all suburbs, and we can tell you right now they're working with 5,585 buyers in Goodwood, 5,482 in Walkerville, 5,623 in Burdenside, and they are all searching for their perfect property in these specific locations.
If you're thinking of selling and would like to know how many buyers Toop and Toop are working with in your suburb, call 8362 8888 or go to toop.com.au.
When people walk through the doors at Powell's, the first thing they say is wow. Not only because of the size and the selection, but also because of the team. Sam and Jamie have tasted every drop. They and their team can recommend a whiskey that's just as good as that hard-to-find Japanese one, if they don't have it, that is. Or a beautiful red that's reminiscent of that outstanding cellar door you once travelled so far to visit. Parafield Airport Liquor Store. Powell's, next to Roulette's Tavern, Kings Road, Parafield.
9 News, weeknights at 5, nightly at 6. The switch is on to the news that's live and local. 9 News, made in Adelaide.
Get up to $100 instant cash back on top tyre brands at Bob Jane T-Marts. You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
15 minutes after 6, news headlines on this Monday morning. A Northern Suburbs teenager is being remembered as a hero after drowning off the York Peninsula while trying to save a mate. 16-year-old Aman Al-Farhan of Paralawi was on a school fishing trip when his friend slipped off rocks at Browns Beach. Here's SAPOL Superintendent Mark Cyrus.
The rocks down there are very, very slippery. We really see that as a really heroic act to try and rescue his mate.
They're signed as dangerous.
Yeah, it sounds like this beach is pretty treacherous.
Yeah.
But what a courageous young man, and how sad, particularly for the Syrian community. The way everyone has, all the parents, All the dads, it looks like, too, from the photographs, they all stayed there overnight and made this impromptu vigil. Extremely sad, and, that poor bloody kid. I don't know how the parents would cope. It's terrible.
We mentioned news poll a moment ago. Prime Minister Scott Morrison's seen another drop in voter approval. His approval rating's at its lowest level in about a year, dropping 7 points over the past fortnight to 55%. The news poll result comes as the PM deals with the backlash over his handling of sexual assault and harassment claims in his government. Voter approval of opposition leader Anthony Albanese is steady at 43%. The poll shows Labor has held on to its 4-point lead over the coalition after preferences. Hackers are being blamed for a technical fault that's disrupting some of Channel 9's television operations. Weekend Today was unable to go to air yesterday, while Federal Parliament is also investigating a potential cyber attack. I've never seen anything on the scale of this. The entire Nine network was just about shut down yesterday. They couldn't run local bulletins.
What's the term? Do you say, was it a state agent? Do we know
that there are suspicions that some of Russian friends may have been involved, but I don't know whether they were state-sponsored or just...
What's Vladimir Putin got against the Today Show?
Well, he just...
I mean, I'm
not a big Richard Wilkins guy.
Yeah, well, there you go.
Maybe, I'm not sure.
No, I would have thought he'd like Richard.
I would have thought so.
They're kind of similar.
Well, they're, alpha males.
Yeah. Different haircuts.
Yes, maybe that's his issue.
Yeah, maybe he's got hair envy.
Hair envy.
He wants a Richard Wilkins haircut.
Could be that. Wouldn't you hate to be the person in the Nine network that clicked on the "you've just won a free iPad" link?
Yeah, that's right. Well, the office klutz might have been working on a Saturday. He's like, yeah,
how about that?
Hey, fellas, what about this? I've just won the lottery in Nigeria.
I don't remember entering, but gee.
Hey, anyone else want some free Cialis?
7 people taken to hospital after a serious crash at McLaren Vale last night. 3 cars collided at the intersection of Main Road and Johnston Road. 1 woman is in a critical condition. The other 6 have non-life-threatening injuries. Police are asking anyone who witnessed the crash to contact them. Queensland health officials have backtracked on claims a man with coronavirus had a house party with 25 people in it while waiting for his test result. They've since clarified he was at his home with 5 other people, and 4 of them were his housemates.
That's a bit of a magical pizza box moment up there in Queensland.
Sure is. The state has recorded 1 new COVID case, the brother of a man who was diagnosed on Thursday.
How on earth can the government go out there, job that bloke to the extent that they did? And then, one hell of a house party going home to your flatmates. Makes it sound like he's seeing the Chemical Brothers in Manchester in 1991. Rock and beats.
A few COVID stories around today, actually. The AFL is keeping the Brisbane Lions in Melbourne due to concerns about the outbreak in Queensland. The Victorian government has given the Lions the all-clear to return home after all players and officials test negative. The side was on the bus to the airport yesterday when the directive to turn it around came through. Western Australia has effectively closed its border. That's the least surprising headline on this Monday morning. It's closed it to Queensland. Here is Mark McGowan.
Coming from Queensland, you're required to quarantine for 14 days and be tested on 2 separate occasions, and that's the existing rule. If they get community spread of the virus in Queensland in coming days, obviously we'd need to reconsider that.
4 more years. New research shows 4 out of 5 Australians are willing to get the coronavirus vaccine. A survey of around 1,000 Australians also revealed 42% want to wait until others are vaccinated before they roll up their sleeves. I'm not sure how the data on that works. So 4 out of 5 are happy to get it, yet 42% want to wait for someone else to get it. What happens if more than 50% of people want to wait for someone else to get it?
See, this is where I stopped maths in year 10. It reminds me of one of those questions about, so Tina needs to buy 3 dozen eggs. Then, nah, I'm out of here. I
want to know from anyone who wants to wait, how many other people need to get it before you're okay? Because we're getting up towards couple of hundred million.
Yeah.
So at what point has no one, have there been the total insufficient number of second heads grown for you to say, well, maybe this is going to be okay?
Mum's getting hers on Wednesday.
Oh, fantastic.
She's very excited. Dad's got to wait a bit longer. He's booked in, though.
Good stuff. Good to hear it.
What about your folks?
They're going to be doing it. Well, Mum's not quite eligible. She'll be delighted for me to say.
I was going to say, I thought I just had this very strong sense that your mum was quite a bit younger, Will.
Dad will get his as soon as he can, but he'll be eligible now. KG is certainly eligible. He's in his 80s. He won't mind me saying, and we're going to speak to him tomorrow on the program when he gets his jab.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah, so really, I saw him on the weekend and he spoke to Andy about it. And look, it won't surprise anyone to know KG is a little nervous. It's time to check the weather on this Monday morning. 24 the expected top today, 27 Tuesday. It's actually a beautiful Easter week. 29 Wednesday, 30 Thursday, 32 on Good Friday, 32 on Saturday, and 26 on Easter Sunday.
Adelaide Tools has arrived in Parafield. We've moved from Paraka to a bigger and better superstore with the widest range from the quality brands you know and trust. You've just got to come and see it for yourself. The new Adelaide Tools Superstore, corner of Main North Road and Kesters Road, Parafield.
Sesame Street Circus Spectacular is coming to Adelaide for the first time at Penberthy Park for a limited season from April 1 until May 2nd. This amazing show is for all ages. Enjoy all the fun and laughter of the circus with Elmo and his friends and a cast of international circus stars that will leave you on the edge of your seat. There's the Wheel of Steel, Motorcycle Mania, and so much more. This show cannot be missed. Book now at Ticketmaster.
G'day, Tom Wren here. March is Epilepsy Awareness Month, and the Epilepsy Centre here in SA receives no government funding for family support and the education and training they provide across the state. If you want to support them and the 63,000 people living with epilepsy in SA, take a minute to sign the Epilepsy Centre's petition for state government funding, or purchase a $60 lottery ticket for a chance to win $40,000 cash. Go to epilepsycentre.org.au, licence M13978.
Feeling fatigued? Can't focus? Tired all the time? Now imagine you were a doctor in that situation. Half of junior doctors in SA's public hospitals report their workload is heavy or very heavy. A third report they never or only sometimes get paid for unrostered overtime. Meanwhile, a lack of medical staff contributes to ramping and waiting lists. It's time for SA Health to get real about staffing in our hospitals.
Authorised by Dr David Pope for the South Australian Salaried Medical Officers Association, Adelaide.
The pieces just came together, from the enlistment form to the discharge papers signed after Gallipoli. He was my great-uncle Jack the Anzac, and now his story is part of mine.
There could be more to your story too. Piece it together with ancestry.com.au.
I'm Lindy Morrison, former drummer of the Go-Betweens. And if you're like me and driving less these days, APIA's comprehensive car insurance rewards you with a drive less, pay less discount on your premiums.
Call APIA on 13 50 50 for a quote today. APIA, get set, go. APIA is an authorised representative of AAI Limited, the product issuer. Most optional covers are not discounted. Limits, exclusions and conditions apply. Before buying this insurance, read the PDS. Contact us for a copy.
5AA Breakfast is streaming live right now. To watch, simply head online to 5AA Facebook or search 5AA on YouTube. Get up to $100 instant cash back on top tyre brands at Bob Jane T-Marts. You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
Stop watching football. 24 minutes after 6. Time to talk sport. Tom Wren in the studio with us. The 19th is West Premium Home and Land Collection with golf views. Visit the 19th West today. You might see Tom Wren wander past you at some point in time if you lived on the Grange golf course there.
Yeah, I played there.
He looks like he's using about an 8 iron.
I reckon I played there 2 weeks ago. Tough course. Great course, though.
It's a beautiful course.
Sensational.
Never been. I'm not allowed to play on the good ones.
Yeah. You'll be all right, Pembo.
Public courses. We're going to have a hit one day, mate.
Yeah, definitely.
I need a bit of Tom Wren's magic to rub off on
me. Not the way I played on the weekend. It was horrendous.
I heard you had the round of your life the other day, though.
I was okay at North Adelaide, but then I played at my local Tetra Gully. Beautiful course, and I battled.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I really struggled early.
Yeah. So did the Crows, eh?
Yeah, they did. Green. Well, boys, I thought what we might do is go through our top 3 likes and dislikes from the weekend. So I'm going to start with the positive. I reckon my like, even though the Crows weren't great, my big like from Adelaide was Taylor Walker.
Oh, yeah.
How good is his form? 11 goals from 2 games. I think there's no doubt, the fact that we've got free-flowing football and, forwards are really being able to get up the ground and we're playing this play on footy, it's helped him because he likes to get away from home and he's playing really, really well. So that was a big like. And while we're on the Crows...
Just on that, Rennie, big thumbs up to James Rahili too, who's come over from Geelong.
Yep.
He's changed the forward structure, 3 smalls, just the 2 talls, which is not how they set up Matthew Nicks last year, and there's just so much space for Taylor Walker now. I think that's a huge contributor to what he
needs. But what about his tackling though on the weekend?
Yeah, he does.
He got
Couple of goals, I reckon.
3 goals from just pinning blokes down, holding the ball right in the goal square. It's terrific.
And it's a great call you make, Will, because he likes to run and get out on the lead. So, play to his strengths, and that is where he will thrive. So 11 goals is a great effort. While we're on the Crows, the women, top spot again.
Yeah, brilliant.
What a win yesterday, 14 points against Collingwood. So they finish on top. They're a huge chance now for a third flag. Great result there yesterday. Low-scoring, tough game, but they got it done. So well done to the Crows women. Port Adelaide perspective, Mitch Georgiades, while we continue on the forwards theme, he looks like a very juicy player going forward. I really loved what I saw on the weekend from him. 4 goals. He's going to be a very good player for a long time.
I don't think he's going to be a late inclusion again. I think he might be an early inclusion from this point on. I think he's in that side.
He might not have the smarts of someone like Todd Marshall, who he came in for, but what he does have is a bit of mongrel, and he splits packs, and he just finds the footy. So that's what he has got, and he's a good player. My other big like from the weekend, so I've sort of got 4. I had the Crows ones tied together. Adelaide United, 6 wins in a row. They haven't done that in 15 years.
Haven't lost since Craig Goodwin came back.
He scored again. In fact, this was the moment where they got it done.
Yengi's down. The strike is wide. Penalty Reds. Goodwin. Too good for Redmayne.
Yeah, so he's been sensational. That's the first time they've beaten Sydney since 2016.
Wow, geez, they had held on at the end. They were under siege in the last 10 minutes. And the reserve keeper, Gauchi, that save was unbelievable.
Yeah, reflex.
They're really fun. The Reds have this, now that they've gone through this period under Bruce Jitte where they promote local young guys, the characters that have come through from South Australia and the communities within it are sensational. Kazini Yengi is just, the guy's built like a truck. He looks like he's about 6'3", but he plays with so much joy, and he's got such character. You talk about the sport characters going out of the game. This is a character that's come into sport. He's fun. He does crazy stuff. He'll try tricks. He'll taunt opposition fans. He's good for sport generally. I love watching him play at the moment.
Yeah, he was the one that got the penalty. So great result for the Reds. They're 1 point behind Central Coast, who they play this week. So a chance to go top. My dislikes, or the top 3 bad things that happened on the weekend, I hate to bash them, but on Friday night, goodness me, they were so hot on the holding the ball.
My God.
How did that get missed?
I was screaming at the television.
Couldn't believe
I wrote a tweet that said, great umpiring by the VFL tonight, and it got liked about 200 times. That looked like the fix was in. And I'm not saying it was, because, we know that's not the way footy operates, but it was just... I was watching it with Jimbo at home on the couch. We had friends over, but we went and snuck in because he said, Dad, this is close. It's getting good. Come on out. So I watched the last 10 minutes. First the free to Selwood, then the 50. But then that no call at the end. I reckon there's kids doing grade 7 who are getting paid $20 a game to umpire the under 8s, who would have watched that and gone, well, that's clearly high.
It was
clearly holding the ball. I mean,
yeah, it was a
just
stinker.
Extraordinary.
You couldn't believe it got missed, to be honest. After the ones that you'd seen had been paid, like Bailey picked up the ball and was tackled immediately 5 minutes earlier and got given holding the ball, and then that one didn't. So you're right, Pembo. I think a lot of people frustrated by that. While we're on a football theme, couple of teams that really are stinking for me right now, Essendon and GWS. They are nowhere.
GWS is just like the most profligate waste of money of a club, aren't they?
They look terrible right now. So they're there. And unfortunately, I love them. I've spoken about my love for them, but the Redbacks, another heavy loss yesterday. 160 runs in a one-dayer. Jason Gillespie will turn it around. He's the right man. He needs time. But right now, they're struggling.
On you, Tom.
Good on you, Rennie.
Beautiful. Thanks, boys.
29 minutes after 6. We're going to give away a $100 Wilders gift after 6:30 this morning. It's something to do with this. Great piece of music.
I love my Vivaldi.
It's Beethoven.
Right.
Beethoven. Debut performance on this day 226 years ago.
Were you there?
No. We. I mean, if you were there, do call in, and we'll make some space for you. But if not, and you'd just like to win a $100 Waller's gift card, let us know what piece of music you think people 226 years from now will be familiar with.
Oh, that's good.
Because that one has stood the test of time, I think we can say.
Absolutely.
226 years. $100 Waller's gift card. Have a think about it and call us on 8223 0000. You can win a $100 Waller's gift card right after this.
This is Adelaide's FIVEaa.
Sunny and 24 today with the 6:30 news. I'm Kendall Brettig.
Woken with a stiff neck or sore back? Get a Physio Extra appointment today. 6 locations, physioextra.com.
Students at Pinnacle College in the northern suburbs are being offered counselling after a classmate drowned on a school trip on the weekend. 16-year-old Ahmad Alfaran of Paralawi jumped into the water to rescue a friend who'd slipped off the rocks at Browns Beach. He's being hailed a hero by friends. A woman is in a critical condition after a crash at McLaren Vale last night. 3 cars collided at the intersection of Main Road and Johnston Road. 6 others suffered non-life-threatening injuries. Major crash officers are investigating. Labor has retained its election-winning position as the Morrison government deals with ongoing allegations of bad behaviour. More from Nine's Michael Packey in Canberra.
The latest news poll shows the opposition holds a 4-point lead over the government after preferences are taken into account. Labor has been able to retain its position as it continues to pressure the coalition over a series of sexual assault and harassment claims. The survey reveals Scott Morrison's voter approval has dropped 7 points over the past fortnight to 55%, his lowest standing in a year. But the poll also shows that in the separate preferred Prime Minister stakes, Scott Morrison retains a solid lead over Labor's Anthony Albanese.
All clears have been issued for more people in flood-hit parts of Sydney. Evacuation warnings have now been lifted for the Hawkesbury River, which has dropped below minor flooding levels. The SES is working through the process of assessing the damage in many areas. While at least 4 people have been killed in flash flooding in Nashville, Tennessee. More from Nine's US correspondent Michael Genovese.
Police discovered the body of a man inside his submerged car in an overflowing creek. The entire population of Nashville is under a flash flooding warning. The deluge causing mudslides, with 130 people having to be rescued from their cars and homes. Authorities have confirmed at least 4 people have been killed.
New research shows 4 out of 5 of us are willing to get the coronavirus vaccine. A survey of around 1,000 Australians also revealed 42% want to wait until others are vaccinated before rolling up their sleeves. Co-founder Dr Lindsay McMillan says they found older people are keen to get the jab as soon as they can.
The baby boomers and beyond, they are more likely to get vaccinated, and I think that's because they're more cautious about their health, and the younger generations are less interested in the immediate. But overall, 85% of Australians are, on the whole, ready to be vaccinated.
The Nine network has requested government help as it investigates a cyber attack which disrupted live TV programming yesterday. Investigations are underway to determine the source of the breach. Assistant Minister for Defence Andrew Hastie says it's a reminder about a constant threat.
I'm not surprised. Last year alone we had 60,000 reports to the Australian Cybersecurity of cybercrime. That's 1 every 10 minutes.
Meantime, Foreign Affairs is investigating a potential cyber hack at Parliament House. The email network had to be shut down over the weekend due to an IT issue. Now turning to FIVEaa Sport.
The 19th is West's premium home and land collection with golf course views. Visit the 19th West today.
Here's Tom Wren.
Thank you, Kendall. No major injury concerns from the weekend for either Port Adelaide or the Crows as they look ahead to their round 3 matches. The Crows host Gold Coast on Friday night, while the Power takes on West Coast in Perth on Saturday night. 3 games to wrap up round 2 yesterday, with Fremantle beating GWS by 31 points. Richmond held off the Hawks by 29 points, while the Bulldogs won a thriller over West Coast by 7 points. Formula One world champion Lewis Hamilton has won the season-opening Bahrain Grand Prix by less than a second ahead of Max Verstappen. Aussie Daniel Ricciardo finishing 7th, his first race since switching to McLaren.
I still don't really know what's going to work for me, but I think we're not far off. I certainly feel more comfortable after race 1, than I did a couple of years ago after the switch I made from Red Bull to Renault.
To soccer, and Adelaide United has secured second spot on the A-League table after beating Sydney FC 1-0. Craig Goodwin with the winning penalty in the second half. An unbeaten half-century by Ash Gardner has guided Australia to a 6-wicket win. That was in their opening T20 Women's Cricket International against New Zealand in Hamilton. Meantime, the Redbacks remain on the bottom of the one-day ladder after being crushed by 160 runs against Queensland in their match in Brisbane yesterday. And Alexei Popyrin's on court in his third-round match at the Miami Open. He's up against Russia's Daniil Medvedev. Games on serve in the opening set, with Popyrin leading 4-3. And that's the FIVEaa Sport.
Now the FIVEaa forecast.
Make sure you and your car stay cool with aircon and cooling services. Call 1300 Automasters.
Sunny and 24 today, sunny again tomorrow, 27, 29 for Wednesday and 30 on Thursday. At the moment, 12. More news as it happens on FIVEaa.
Get on. Back on top tyre brands at Bob Jane T-Marts. You're listening to FIVEaa Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
24 minutes to 7. It's Beethoven's Ode to Joy. He debuted on this day 226 years ago. These tunes are still instantly recognisable. I just wonder what from today will be recognisable 226 years from now. We got a $100 Waller's gift card to give away. I know you've got an answer, David.
No, I struggle with this. It's really hard conceptually.
You don't want to have a look at the text line because it may agitate you. Andrew in Craigmore has called in for the Wallers. Morning, Andrew.
Oh, g'day, guys. Forget Beethoven or Vidality. What about Supernaut? I like it both ways. How appropriate.
Perth's own Supernaut. That was one of the great one-hit wonders of the 1970s. That song is sensationally good. Height of Australian glam rock.
Sue in Mylor, what do you think will last 226 years?
Oh, I think it's a given. I think anything from the Beatles. I mean, we're listening to them 60 years after they first came
Yeah, you're
out,
right.
so-
I
agree, see.
Yeah.
They only need to go for another 160 years.
Yep. I
from
mean,
here.
I love Drive My Car. I think that's, and I think Hard Day's Night's totally recognisable. But I think I love, I know it's Paul, but I love Band on the Run.
Yeah, that's a great
One of my
record as well.
Favourite songs of all
I think
time.
the thing about them, Sue, is like you talk about their early tracks, what was that, early 60s?
Yep.
But then you think about the White Album, like that,
absolutely.
right at the end, and a song like Blackbird.
Absolutely.
People are going to be singing Blackbird on Australian
Forever.
Idol in 3010.
Totally. You know, they just changed the course of music, and they just moved with the times and influenced so many other musicians.
Yeah.
And people like Bruce Springsteen, who adored them. So I just think, a no-brainer. I just think, you know, I hope people in 200 years' time enjoy them as much as we have.
I think it's a great suggestion, Sue. And they're one of those sort of rare groups, too, where a group of 20-year-olds, one of their song comes on when a group of 20-year-olds is together, and they probably sing it today much like they did 50 years ago.
Yeah.
Like it's still beloved. It still resonates. It's still, hasn't lost any of its popularity. Mario in Golden Grove, good morning.
How you going, boys? How are you?
Good, thanks, Mario.
Yes, Pink Floyd's Dark Side of the Moon, the whole album. Just get it out there.
Yeah, I agree, Mario. That record,
you, Mario.
That record will endure. That's a great record.
Thank you, Mario. 82230000, the $100 Waller's gift card. You can text us as well. Telstra Stormount Barker text line. David, we've had Andrew, Joe and others suggesting this. There are reasons to watch the FIVEaa Facebook and YouTube live stream every morning, and sometimes it's to see the look of just abject disgust on David's face.
Oh, now look, I must admit, I don't mind this song.
Oh, really?
And it's grown on me. It's got this weird quality. It's a bit like Toto's Africa.
Yeah.
Where people
Well,
just...
come on. That is a classic.
Yeah, but people love belting it out. And it's why footy teams sing it. You know, the Crows AFLW team, when they won the flag, that was their theme song. Hawthorn loves singing the horses. And I've got to say, when we had Darryl Braithwaite on the show a few weeks ago, he just seemed like the world's nicest bloke. So I reckon, I think that's a noble choice. One here from Helen saying, my selection is Andrea Bocelli in Milan. amazing. Milano. Why particularly in Milan? Did he do some specific album there?
Or maybe it was a live recording of a performance.
Got to say, every time I hear, what was the song that was famous of the lockdown? Time to say goodbye.
Yeah.
Conte partirò. Conte partirò. It just makes me think, oh, here we go. I'm sitting in the attic at home doing the show remotely with Will, and I have a chilling flashback.
You only did that for about 2 days, didn't you?
Mate, that's it. You know, one day, I've never, ever, ever in my life been stressed at work. Like, even editing a paper, even the bad days, I sort of got off on them.
Stressed.
At the end of one of those shows, I just shut my laptop and I went out the back and I just kicked one of the outdoor setting chairs over and just sat there going, I never want to do that again.
It was almost impossible.
It was so bad. I mean, we talk over each other enough sitting here in the studio together.
Exactly right. Exactly. It is an unmanageable mess, even when it's going all well.
Even when it's going swimmingly well.
19 minutes to 7, 822 300 is our number. Who do you like for the $100 wireless gift card?
Oh, look, I think Sue from Milo.
Yep, Sue
that
from
was
Milo.
terrific.
All yours, Sue.
They're all good, but Sue, go the Beatles.
All right, let's check traffic for the first time this morning. Thanks to Dave Potter, Australia's #1 Honda dealer for a second year running. DavePotterHonda.com.au.
Mount Barker on the freeway down, tracking at Mount Barker ramp. A car's hit a deer affecting city-bound. Works today, Port Wakefoot Highway, Carmelo Road, Buckland Park, Morford Road, Diagon Road, Oaklands Park, and as well, you'll see works up at Sheriff's Road, Aldersop Road, westbound Morford Vale. Want to get Foxtel so you don't miss a minute of the action? Get every game with the NRL and AFL Premiership seasons with no ad breaks during play. Search Foxtel or call 131787. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
You don't always have to be in a physical hospital to receive the care you need. My Home Hospital brings hospital-level care straight to you in the comfort and privacy of your own home. My Home Hospital is a wellbeing SA service and is available at no charge to eligible public patients 24 hours a day, 7 days a week across metropolitan Adelaide. Find out if you're eligible, talk to your doctor or visit myhomehospital.sa.gov.au. My Home Hospital. We bring the care to you. This message brought to you by the Government of South Australia.
You might think having thousands of pals is excessive, but that's not what the team at Parafield Airport Liquor Store think, because that's how many they have. Sure, they might be made up of over 100 gins, over 200 whiskies, over 300 craft beers, and over 2,000 boutique wines. But they're some of the best pals you could have, and they're always looking for more, even if they are tricky to track down. Parafield Airport Liquor Store. Pals, next to Roulette's Tavern, Kings Road, Parafield.
Hop into a Fruit Shock shop this Easter. We have something for everybody. Come in and check out our huge Easter range, including our exclusive Fruit Bunny and new Fruit Shock Easter eggs. They're excellent. The Fruit Shock shop. Easter puns not included.
Save up to 55% off discontinued Beautyrest black mattresses and ensembles now at Harvey Norman. Now's the time to upgrade your mattress and support Australian-made manufacturing. Plus, purchase with 60 months interest-free and receive a bonus gift card up to the value of $500. Minimum financed amount $1,000. Approved applicants only. 60 equal monthly payments. Interest applies if you do not comply with terms and conditions. Fees and exclusions apply. Save up to 55% off discontinued Beautyrest black mattresses and ensembles exclusive to Harvey Norman.
9 News, weeknights at 5, nightly at 6. The switch is on to the news that's live and local. 9 News, made in Adelaide.
Get up to $100 instant cash back on top tyre brands at Bob Jane T-Marts. You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
16 minutes to 7. Time to check in with SAPOL. Senior Constable Jen Cullinan joins us. Morning to you, Jen.
Morning.
Now, this awful story led our news headlines about 30 minutes ago. A drowning on the York Peninsula, which was really a young boy trying to effect a rescue.
Yeah, it's so sad. Just before 2 p.m. on Saturday, the police were called to the Innis National Park after a group of people were swept off the rocks at Browns Beach there. So 1 adult and 3 teenagers managed to make it to safety. However, 1 teenage boy disappeared and he couldn't be found on the Saturday. So police, with the assistance of local fishermen and Sea Rescue, SES, CFS and national parks, commenced a search on the Saturday, but they couldn't find him. That search recommenced yesterday, and sadly just before 11:30 yesterday, police divers located the 16-year-old boy from Paralarry who was on a school trip in the area. So we unfortunately have to prepare a report for the coroner for that matter. Very sad news.
It certainly is, Jen. Very, just so sad for his family, for the community as well.
Yeah.
And will be heartbreaking for all the police involved too, I'm sure.
Yeah, especially when we get, locals assisting us with things.
Yeah.
We're hardened to it somewhat, but, when local people step up and assist, it's really hard for them.
Absolutely. There's been some break-ins in the eastern suburbs overnight.
Yeah, there's some dentists and orthodontists not going to be happy this morning. They won't be smiling. 2 business break-ins in the eastern suburbs about 3:50 this morning. Police were called to the dentist clinic on Paynham Road at St Peter's after an alarm was activated there, and patrols found a glass door had been smashed. About 40 minutes later, an orthodontist's office was broken into on Kensington Road at Norwood. So both premises, we think the break-ins might be linked, and we're investigating that at the moment. But we ask anybody who may have been in the area of St Peter's or Norwood to contact Crime Stoppers if they have any information on 1800 333 000.
And Jen, a man who's been extradited back to South Australia will face court today.
Yeah, and that was in relation to a house fire that happened at Woodville West on March the 17th, St Patrick's Day. I don't know if you remember that. It's just before 4 a.m. Police went to Calendar Place after a report of a deliberately lit house fire. 2 women were taken to hospital for burn injuries, and a 31-year-old man was taken to the Royal Adelaide with burn injuries, but sadly he died on Saturday the 20th of March. So the man wanted for questioning over that fire was arrested later on the 17th of March after crashing his car in country New South Wales. He was then taken to a hospital in Sydney where he remained for a few days. And on Friday, detectives from South Australia went to New South Wales and extradited him back here. So he will face court at Adelaide Magistrates Court on charges of murder today.
Good on you, Jen. Thanks you for that.
Jen.
Senior Constable Jen Cullinan from SAPOL. Let's get a preview of the Easter week weather. Mark Anelak, Senior Forecaster at the Bureau, joins us. Morning to you, Mark.
Good morning, guys.
Well, let's start with today.
Yeah, it looks like we're in for a sunny day today, heading for a top of 24 degrees. Currently sitting on 11 at the moment, but as I said, heading for a sunny top of 24 degrees today.
And for the rest of the week?
The rest of the week, temperatures gradually rising, the sunny conditions continuing. So 27 tomorrow, 29 on Wednesday, Thursday 30 degrees, and for those interested in the long weekend, Friday at this stage looks like a mostly sunny day, 32 degrees, with sunny conditions continuing on Saturday, 32 degrees.
Oh, yes.
We are expecting a wind change to come through on Sunday, so while we're expecting fine conditions to continue right through the Easter long weekend, temperatures will drop back to around 26 on Sunday and similarly on Monday. So it looks like we're in for a fine long weekend, Easter weekend, but temperatures hovering around the sort of 30s initially, dropping back to the mid-20s for the latter part of the long weekend.
That is excellent news, Mark. You come bearing gifts this morning. Hopefully we'll stay that way for Easter.
Days.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Yeah, but it looks good so far. Good on you, Mark. Mark Anelak, Senior Forecaster at the Weather Bureau.
I always try to have my last swim in the ocean for summer on the Easter weekend. I love it when that happens, and I'm definitely going to be able to do that this weekend.
Absolutely, you really will. And you can mark an occasion that Ben Jordan, our 5AA historian, has just pointed out to us on Twitter. Good Friday is the 2nd of April, is the 1-year anniversary of the famous time you worked out your backyard, kicked over a chair after our first show from home.
Seriously?
Yeah, this Friday. So you can have a swim.
You can have 2 very different Fridays right there.
11 to 7. We're off to the US in just a moment.
This Easter and across the school holidays, hop aboard Steam Range's famous cockle train with 3 trips daily between Goolwa and Victor Harbour and added services Easter Saturday and Sunday. Ride behind vintage steam trains, classic diesels and heritage rail cars along one of Australia's most scenic coastal railways. Or head inland with special trips to Finnis and Strathalbyn. For more info, visit Steam Ranger online or on the line with tickets available from the Goolwa, Port Elliot and Victor Harbour stations.
Where's country? Just about everywhere. Country blinds manufacture in SA and go far and wide to measure, quote and install. Here's Jake from Country with more.
Every day, our team is in the city, the suburbs and regions. So no matter where you live, give Country a call for a measure and quote. and enjoy that great country quality in your home.
Country Blinds, making it right here. Now let's make it for you. Visit countryblinds.com.au for an in-home quote today.
Everybody loves their country.
Everywhere you look, there's a sign popping up saying, sold by McGain again.
And as you've heard, there's still buyers everywhere at the moment, so you can expect plenty of offers on your home as soon as you list.
Now, that's because McGain have families lined up waiting for new homes to be listed for sale right now. So if you're looking to sell, contact the brilliant team at McGain and ask them about McGain Match Strategy. They could already have the perfect buyer for your property.
Now, with the largest amount of buyer activity in the past 20 years, it's the perfect time to act, and just another reason why everywhere you look, there's a sign popping up saying, you've got it, sold by McGain.
McGain.
Australia is working hard to ensure we all have access to safe, effective and free COVID-19 vaccines, which will give us the protection to go about our everyday lives. The COVID-19 vaccines are being assessed carefully by independent clinical experts to ensure all potential vaccines meet Australia's high safety and quality standards. After vaccines are approved, they'll be rolled out, going to those most in need of protection first. To keep up to date, visit health.gov.au. Authorised by the Australian Government, Canberra.
5AA Breakfast is streaming live right now. To watch, simply head online to 5AA Facebook or search 5AA on YouTube. Get up to $100 instant cash back on top tyre brands at Bob Jane T-Marts. You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
8 to 7. If you're an Alberton resident with concerns about the Port Adelaide Football Club's redevelopment of the facilities there, it's a $20 million redevelopment. There's a group of residents there that are concerned about the fact that a lot of the area has previously been public parks and it's going to be overtaken by some local sporting clubs. So they've got concerns about what their access is going to be, and things like, well, what used to be the bit of park that was next to my house is going to be a basketball gymnasium. There are concerns like that. If you're in that area and that's you, we'd love to hear from you. Well, similarly, if you're in that area and you've got no problem with it whatsoever,
yeah,
we'd love to hear from you.
Always like to hear from the people who've got no problem with it whatsoever.
They're our favourite sorts of people.
Yeah, that's right.
822 You can text us on the Telstra Storm Out Barker text line, 0448 08 1395. Tim Lester is in Minneapolis in the US for the trial of Derek Chauvin, the police officer whose knee was on the neck of George Floyd, starting the Black Lives Matter movement in the United States. Tim, good morning to you.
Morning, guys.
Tim, there's been so many high-profile trials that have hinged on race issues in the history of the United States. What's the security arrangements like surrounding this trial there in Minneapolis?
Oh, pretty strong, guys. They've got about a 3 to 3.5 metre wire fence all round this, it's a skyscraper. It's probably a 20-storey building in which the courtroom is placed, the government centre here in Minneapolis. They've got 2,000 National Guard officers. They're essentially military and military vehicles guarding it and locking down the city. And the centre of the city is eerily quiet. And the worry here is that the outcome of this trial will be viewed by many as an ongoing failure of justice to properly see what happens with the interaction between police and black African Americans and the injustices they've faced for decade after decade. If that happens, and we'll know in a couple of weeks, then there could be a really quite dangerous situation, certainly here in Minneapolis, but elsewhere in the country as well.
So in terms of the trial, is there any sense yet, Tim, as to how it's going to play out? Like, have either the prosecution or the defence led any of their arguments yet?
Yes, and look, the prosecution simply says at no time in history has a death been more viewed than George Floyd's, so what is there to argue about? And they've got a point. The video that the 17-year-old teenage girl took that day back last May has been seen by billions of people. It is quite extraordinary and a terrifying video. So they see that as their case. The defence says, well, hang on a minute, even although homicide is listed as the cause of the death after the autopsy, he was also a big recreational drug user, George Floyd. He had a lot of fentanyl in his system and some methamphetamine. He also suffered heart disease and was COVID positive. They say it's unfair to say that the police action was entirely to blame for his death. His health was really problematic, and I think that's the fight you'll see play out.
Well, Tim, I expect we'll be crossing back for updates over the course of the trial. I know you've got a live cross to get to, but appreciate you chatting with us this morning on 5AA Breakfast.
Good talking, guys.
Cheers, Tim.
Tim Lester for 7 News in the US. On the redevelopment at Alberton, Jamie has called in, who lives across the road from the proposed new training area. Jamie, good morning to you, mate.
Hello, how you going there?
Good. What do you make of it?
Oh, it's absolutely rubbish, mate. We bought into this blue chip Western Suburbs area about 5 years ago now. We've just reinvested into a house and renovated for our young family. And with all this car parking and extra noise through the night, we just don't know what we're going to do.
So has it really had that big an impact, has it, Jamie?
Well, the car parking's bad enough as it is with the people that work there at the Port Club now. You know, they've been given a car park, but they choose not to park there. And they line the streets every day, but we can live with that if it's still 5 o'clock working hours. But it's when you have the Bearcats and other soccer clubs coming there. Pardon me.
You're all right.
Coming there till later in the night, 10 o'clock up to 10 o'clock at night. They're going to be coming there. You know, and there's so many basketball teams and parents and siblings and the soccer training. It's just going to be chaos down here. We haven't got the facilities and the car parking for it.
Was there any consultation period, Jamie, or did you just find out?
There wasn't just before there was a meeting, and it was just before they were putting the approval through. So as far as I know, they've sort of kept it hush hush, and then they're like, well, "What do you guys think?" By the way, we've already submitted, all the stuff through council, and we've already gone for it. So it was absolutely. Blindsided, really. So like I said, we've just invested all this money into our family home, and we plan on staying here for the long run. We've got beautiful neighbours, we've got young families all around. I picture my kids riding push bikes up and down the street as they grow up. But with the sort of traffic that it's going to bring, it's totally put a damper on things.
Is it sort of universal? Have you had a chance to chat with your neighbours?
Yeah, it's unanimous. Every neighbour that I've spoken to, we've sort of all starting to rally and get behind it, and every single person that I've spoken to is against it.
Yeah,
so
right.
house prices are set to decrease by 10 to 20% from what a couple of the neighbours have had real estate agents around, Nick Saros and another real estate agent that's regular in the area. So,
is there any particular side of the development that's worse, Jamie, like the 7th Avenue side or the Colston Street side?
I would say the 7th Avenue is probably worse, but the car parking, only the immediate residents, so the people that live opposed opposite the facilities have been, made fully aware of what's going on and been involved at this stage. But, I don't think that the neighbours that are slightly further away have an understanding of how it's going to impact everyone. SANFL football cars park, streets and streets away. So we're going to have regular foot traffic like that. It's going to affect everyone around here.
Hey, Jamie.
It's not a big enough space to have as many people as what they're planning on having here. They're underplaying it. That's what's happening. Thanks
for calling us, mate. We appreciate it. If there are other residents with concerns, we'd love to hear from you. 8223 0000 is the number. You can text us on the Telstra Storm Out Barker text line as well. Or if you're watching on Facebook or YouTube, leave a comment there. We're going to do more on this story after 7 o'clock today. So we have in the past said when it comes to development stories, well, things that would be akin in this scenario to you choose to live next to Alberton Oval, there's going to be cars and sport. But what Jamie's saying is he chose to live next to Alberton Oval, not Alberton Oval and the Bearcat Stadium, which used to be near the bridge, and the soccer stadium and the local soccer club. Now they've all moved on to that one facility.
Yeah, I mean this is different from the handful of people. I mean most people don't complain about it, but some people complain in the inner south about the showgrounds, and I always just go, well, you shouldn't have moved here. Yep. The showgrounds have been here way before you. This would be like if, overnight they said, we're going to double the size of the Wayville showgrounds. And we've knocked down half of the houses on Goodwood Road to do it. Like, it was the football club was the football club.
There, yep.
And now it's become something much more than that. And I don't know, could they move Port to the Aquatic Centre? Would that work?
Well, I mean, I think they've got financial difficulty there.
Yeah, apparently.
That'd be, if only a white knight would come in. It'd be too easy. Too easy.
I was like shelling peas.
Why have someone else pay your debts when you can get your own ratepayers to do it? 7 o'clock, 5AA News time. Back with more in a moment.
Online, on DAB Digital Radio and on 1395 AM. Talking Adelaide. This is Adelaide's 5AA.
Sunny and 24 today with the 7 o'clock news. I'm Kendall Brettig.
FIVEaa Extra is a registered NDIS provider, so let them support you in achieving your goals. FIVEaAextra.com.
Northern Suburbs teenagers being remembered as a hero after drowning off the York Peninsula while trying to save a mate. 16-year-old Ahmad Alfaran of Paralawi was on a school fishing trip when his friend slipped off rocks at Browns Beach. Superintendent Mark Sirris says he jumped in to help him.
The rocks down there are very, very slippery. We really see that as a really heroic act to try and rescue his mate.
2 other students and a teacher also jumped in but were able to pull themselves to safety. 7 people were taken to hospital after a serious crash at McLaren Vale last night. 3 cars collided at the intersection of Main Road and Johnston Road. 1 woman's in a critical condition. The other 6 have non-life-threatening injuries. Police are investigating 2 break-ins in the eastern suburbs overnight. A glass door was smashed at a dentist clinic on Paynham Road at St Peter's just before 4 a.m. Senior Constable Jen Cullinan says about 40 minutes later, an orthodontist's office was broken into on Kensington Road at Norwood.
We think the break-ins might be linked, and we're investigating that at the moment, but we ask anybody who may have been in the area of St Peter's or Norwood to contact Crime Stoppers if they have any information.
Scott Morrison has seen another drop in voter approval as he reels from ongoing sexual harassment allegations in coalition ranks. More from Nine's Michael Packey.
Mr Morrison's approval rating is at its lowest level in about a year, dropping 7 points over the past fortnight. The news poll result comes as the PM deals with the backlash over his handling of sexual assault and harassment allegations in his government. But the survey also reveals Scott Morrison comfortably remains preferred Prime Minister, even though he's taken a hit in this category compared to previous polls. Despite this, Labor has held on to its 4-point lead over the coalition after preferences.
Queensland health officials have backtracked on claims a man with coronavirus had a house party with 25 people while waiting for his test result. They've since clarified he was at home with 5 other people, 4 of them his housemates. The state's recorded 1 new COVID case, the brother of a man who was diagnosed on Thursday. Global anger's rising after at least 100 protesters were killed in a single day in Myanmar. The death toll from the countrywide protests is now more than 400. Defence ministers from a dozen nations have released a rare joint statement condemning the military. This protester says global action's vital for ending the violence.
We cannot do this alone, so we need a lot of help from international communities. There are still some countries who have remained silent. We need a lot of support from international communities as well to fight against this dictatorship.
A Palm Sunday service in Indonesia has turned to carnage after a suspected suicide bombing. Police say the explosion happened as 2 people tried to enter the Catholic Church. Both are dead and at least 14 worshippers have been injured. Now turning to FIVEaa Sport.
The 19th is West's premium home and land collection with golf course views. Visit the 19th West today.
Here's Tom Wren.
Thank you, Kendall. Port Adelaide sits on top of the AFL ladder after the opening 2 rounds of the season following yesterday's results. The Power next take on West Coast, who were beaten in one of the games of the round at Marvel Stadium, going down by 7 points to the Bulldogs at Marvel Stadium yesterday. Coach Adam Simpson pleased with his side's response after trailing at half-time.
So we hung in there for the first half, challenged each other at half-time, and I thought we played more of the type of football we'd like to be proud of in the second half.
2 other games yesterday with reigning premiers Richmond 29-point winners over Hawthorn, while Fremantle took care of GWS by 31 points. But Nat Fyfe was concussed, meaning he's set to miss this week's game against Carlton. The Crows women are minor premiers and are primed for another assault at a flag following yesterday's impressive 14-point win over Collingwood. The result means the Crows will get a week off in the first week of the finals. Adelaide United's impressive form has continued after the Reds secured a 6th straight win, beating Sydney FC 1-0. The result means United's in second spot only 1 point behind Central Coast, but with a game in hand. Meantime, the Lady Reds have just missed out on finals in the W League after results went against them on the weekend. And it's an All-American final at the World Golf Match Play event in Texas with Billy Horschel taking on Scotty Scheffler, and they're currently playing the 6th hole with the match all square. And that's the 5AA Sport.
Now checking 5AA traffic.
Dave Potter's Mad March demo clearance is on now, with huge savings and factory bonuses across the range.
Mount Barker, a smash on the freeway down track at the Mount Barker ramp. McIntyre Kings, Main North Roads intersection, Salisbury East, there's roadworks. Other works, Unley Road, Opie Avenue in Hyde Park today. At Spotlight, for 3 days only, save a massive 30% off Manchester home decor, fabrics, craft, curtains and blinds store-wide. Ends Wednesday. Hurry into Spotlight today. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
Make sure you and your car stay cool with aircon and cooling services. Call 1300 Automasters.
Sunny and 24 today, sunny again tomorrow, 27, up to 29 on Wednesday and 30 on Thursday. At the moment, 11. More news as it happens on 5AA.
In the last hour on Adelaide's 5AA.
I can actually remember, I'm not exaggerating this, I can remember the first time I tasted a Village pie and I went, far out, what have they done to the pastry? Like, this is...
Yeah, I remember the first time I had a pasty because I was a really picky kid for food. I was impossible to get food for when I was a little kid.
Oh, really?
I just didn't eat anything.
Seriously? Actually, that was a surprise.
Yeah, no, but these days I'm significantly less picky. There's our live stream viewers will attest to. And Jen, a man who's been extradited back to South Australia will face court today.
Yeah, and that was in relation to a house fire that happened at Woodville West on March 17th, St Patrick's Day. 2 women were taken to hospital for burn injuries and a 31-year-old man was taken to the Royal Adelaide with burn injuries, but sadly he died, so he will face Adelaide Magistrates Court on charges of murder today.
On the redevelopment at Alberton, Jamie has called in.
Oh, it's absolutely rubbish, mate, for our young family. And with all this car parking and extra noise through the night, we just don't know what we're going to do.
You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
7 minutes after 7, Jane Riley will join us after 7:30 this morning to talk about the sad passing of Villy over the weekend. It was someone she got to know over the time of her media career, and I know she was very keen to come on and say some words about him, and we'll do that after 7:30. We'll talk more about the development at Alberton after 7:10. If you are an Alberton resident concerned about the redevelopment of the facilities there, a few people have texted in on the Telstra Storm Mount Barker text line saying, oh, was this some sort of Crows Port thing? I actually don't think the concern from the residents there appears to have anything to do with the Port Adelaide Football Club. It's more about the West Adelaide basketball side and the soccer club. I don't think. No. I think they all signed up to live next to Port Adelaide.
Yeah, that's
FC.
That's the thing. There's no issue with Port. I've been down there many a times. Scotty Hodges had his book launch down there years ago, and it's the extent to which it's grown and become a home for other clubs. I think that's the thing that's concerning people.
82230000 is the number if you'd like to have your say on that issue. We'll get to that in just a moment. But first, David, we've got an announcement to make on behalf of Nova Entertainment.
We do, Will, and this is the announcement. Without reservation whatsoever, 5AA and Nova Entertainment sincerely apologise to Brittany Higgins for the comments made by Jeremy Cordeaux on 5AA's Weekend Breakfast Show on Saturday morning. We acknowledge that the comments were completely inappropriate and offensive. The views expressed by Mr Cordeaux do not reflect those held by 5AA and Nova Entertainment, and we unequivocally withdraw them. Mr Cordeaux's employment has been terminated, and 5AA and Nova Entertainment have immediately taken broader action to ensure this can never happen again. On behalf of all of us at 5AA and Nova Entertainment, we apologise unreservedly to Ms Higgins.
Leon Biner.
Australia's ambassador to Beijing has described China as a vindictive and unreliable trading partner. So if that's true, what the hell are we doing opening up one of their compounds that ASIO believe, for a start, could be oversized?
9 till 12 weekdays.
The Strategic Policy Institute's Peter Jennings.
This is going to be a base that will facilitate Chinese intelligence gathering efforts, largely directed against Australian defence industry.
On 5AA.
Fresh nuts,
mouth-watering chocolates and eye-popping Easter gifts. G'day, I'm Brett Charlesworth, and there are 3 irresistible reasons to include Charlesworth nuts on your Easter shopping list. If you're a connoisseur looking for the absolute best and freshest nuts and can taste the difference, then give us a try. Share them with your guests or give a Charlesworth Easter gift and watch their eyes light up. 11 family-owned South Aussie stores, or shop online right now and get it delivered. Why Charlesworth? Because fresh nuts taste better.
Walko, Blanky! Walko, Blanky! Walko, Blanky! This is a game Pool and I play. Each night I come out and put her Walko, Blanky on. Keeps her from evaporating. But winter is coming. Soon she'll need her Walko Guardian pool cover. Sure, the fun ends, but I know she's looked after. Chemicals sealed off from the light, water clean, and no need for your pump. Get your pool a Walko Guardian pool cover for winter. Walko.com.au.
Sesame Street Circus Spectacular is coming to Adelaide for the first time at Penberthy Park for a limited season from April 1 until May 2nd. This amazing show is for all ages. Enjoy all the fun and laughter of the circus with Elmo and his friends and a cast of international circus stars that will leave you on the edge of your seat. There's the Wheel of Steel, Motorcycle Mania, and so much more. This show cannot be missed. Book now at Ticketmaster.
At Harvey Norman, your technology specialists save $100 on the great value Asus 14-inch laptop. Now just $348. Acer Aspire 5 laptop with the latest 11th gen Intel Core i5 processor. Now $697, save $300. Or the ultra-portable HP Pavilion laptop, designed for exceptional entertainment, with an 11th gen Intel Core i7 processor, only $1,298. Now at Harvey Norman.
Feeling fatigued? Can't focus? Tired all the time? Now imagine you were a doctor in that situation. Half of junior doctors in SA's public hospitals report their workload is heavy or very heavy. A third report they never or only sometimes get paid for unrostered overtime. Meanwhile, a lack of medical staff contributes to ramping and waiting lists. It's time for SA Health to get real about staffing in our hospitals.
Authorised by Dr David Pope for the South Australian Salaried Medical Officers Association, Adelaide.
9 News, weeknights at 5, nightly at 6. The switch is on to the news that's live and local. 9 News, made in Adelaide.
Get up to $100 instant cash back on top tyre brands at Bob Jane T-Marts. You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
12 after 7, Stephen Rowe will join us very shortly. Got a lot of interesting comments from people in the Alberton area that are concerned about the redevelopment at the Alberton Oval. Not about necessarily what it means for the Port Adelaide Football Club, but rather the fact that extra clubs are going to be getting on board and are going to be taking over what were parklands. We got a text from, parklands, should I say, but green spaces, public green spaces. Got a text from someone suggesting that they weren't particularly beautiful and they were just car parks anyway. Other residents are more concerned. Pete Sossig is a Port Adelaide resident with a view. Pete, good morning to you.
Hi guys, how you going?
Good. How do you feel about the development there?
Well, you probably saw the Sunday Mail article, and look, a lot of people are pretty upset about what's being proposed down there, and I think a lot of people are also pretty upset about the process that's being followed. As I say, sometimes.
Pete's just dropped out. You might have heard his phone was breaking up a little bit.
Apparently there's some issue with Telstra.
Yeah.
Either that or the Russians have got us too.
Well, they managed to take down the entire Nine network. Well, hang on, Dave. We don't know it was the Russians.
No, that's right. Exactly. We shouldn't speculate.
Look, it's often the Russians.
Yeah, that's right, exactly. It's often the Russians or one other country.
Yeah, that's
when
right.
things like this occur.
They stopped the Nine. It was an extraordinary day yesterday. They stopped the Nine network from broadcasting out of Sydney. So they had to change where the news came out of Melbourne and was a national bulletin. And I think as of today, all Nine employees have to work from home, and it's got nothing to do with COVID.
Yeah,
it's because they don't want them to access computers. In fact, there's a suggestion too that other people shouldn't email them or be in contact with them in a digital way that meant whatever it's affecting them may spread elsewhere. I think we've got Pete back now. Pete, you were just taking us through you and the residents' concerns.
Yes, certainly. And look,
The development is being proposed. I mean, I've downloaded the 293-page document which they've put together. Look, the major concerns from the residents are the fact that the other facilities that are being proposed for the use by other clubs, but it's the other facilities. They use the other facilities by the Bearcats and soccer clubs and all these sort of things. It's all after hours. It's all stated in the Port Adelaide document. So when Port Adelaide finish training, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, then that's when it all really starts to happen. And the extent of the works around the Oval as well, what really concerns a lot of people is the fact that we've got this green space, which was originally land bequested to the Port Adelaide Enfield Council by a family, and it was meant to be held in perpetuity for the use of the immediate local community.
Have you been able to, Pete, to get any sort of hard and fast numbers on increase to traffic, increase to hours of use of the facilities in the surrounds? Because I imagine there's similar facilities in other parts of the state that would serve as a model. I mean, what we would perhaps know how many people are attending Bearcats training and games over the course of the week and weekend.
Well, it's very interesting you say that, Will, because I've spoken with planners from the Charles Sturt Council, and they've recently installed new developments at St Clair. They're currently assessing the new development, the Titanium Arena. So there's quite a lot of basketball court facilities that are available in the area which are currently underutilised. Now, I've been through the traffic engineer's report, and they really had just plucked figures out of the air. They talked about 100 movements, which is basically 100 people coming to the place, 100 people leaving. What's that? 2 or 3 car doors slammed each time, all that sort of thing. And really, as one of the council planners said to me, when they do all of this sort of work, they do a detailed demand management study, which really looks at the numbers that are involved. They go and do surveys, they go and do all that sort of work. None of that's been done for this. Just numbers have been plucked out of the air.
Did you have any idea, Pete, as to how all this got the green light in the first place? Was it one of those situations where the project was of such a sort of magnitude that it was taken out of the council's hands, or was it the council itself that approved it all?
Well, no, it hasn't been approved yet. I can give you very quickly the timeline of the process. My understanding is that they had the football academy that was proposed originally, and that fell over in about October, November. This seems to have been put up in quite a hurry to try and obtain funding that we understand that may be available from the AFL.
Right.
And so this has gone up in haste, and as part of the process, it was announced at the AGM on the 12th of February, and on the Monday night, 15th of February at the Cheltenham Community Club, Port held a meeting with residents, which you're trying to describe as a foul consultation meeting. It's one of those sort of things, I'm still involved in this construction of large facilities and whatnot, and it's one of those things that a consultant says, we better do the checklist. Oh, you haven't done community consultation. Quick, we better hold a meeting. At this meeting, they were basically told by the club and the consultants that, look, we don't have to hold this meeting. We're only doing it out of courtesy so we can let you know what we're going to do. Now, that doesn't sound like consultation with the community to me.
Yeah.
Now, and then 2 weeks after that, the development application's lodged, and residents then have 2 weeks to assess a 293-page development application that they can't get hold of. There's a paper copy that they can go and view unless they know how to download this thing, and not many people have been able to see the detail. And I've got to tell you, the detail doesn't look anything like the pictures.
Yeah, Pete, thank you. We appreciate your insight. Jamie called us earlier, who lives on one of the streets affected. If there are others that would like to have their say, we'd love to hear from you. 8223 Similarly, if you're someone who lives in the area and doesn't have an issue, we'd take your call as well. You can text us on the Telstra Stormont Barker text line. We'll get to some of those in a moment. But at 19 after 7, it's time to talk sport with Stephen Rowe. Thanks to North Point Toyota, the used car vehicle stock is constantly changing. Pop in and take a look. It is the North Point way. Morning to you, Rowe.
Pembo and Will, good morning. Now, if I said to you there was a team this round that had 55 inside 50s, 13 tackles and 12 marks in that inside 50. They had 33 shots for goal, plus 14 for free kicks, plus 13 for stoppages. And their key forward kicked 6 goals. On those stats, you'd say that team wins.
Yeah, I would have thought. Yeah, totally. Oh, I tell you what, there were some heartbreaking misses by some of the newbies as well.
Yeah. Look, they were the Crows' numbers. That's the positive. I think the negative, put simply, Swans with ball in hand just had too much class. They couldn't defend them. When they got it inside 50, they scored easily. And that second quarter, they just opened them up. But there's a lot of positives to take from that. And then on the flip side, Port Adelaide, I know it's only round 2. I'm not going to play Can You Feel It, but Port Adelaide, they are the real deal. They won every aspect of that game. And I mean comprehensively. Have a look at the stats. They can win it, they can use it, they can get it back, they can create from nothing. Marshall out, Georgiades in, he kicks 4. They've got the depth and the hunger. Good on them, mate. They've set themselves up. It's theirs to lose.
What about Zach Butters? That guy is just phenomenal, isn't he? My God. And how old is he? He's not even 23 or 24, is he?
He's 20. He's 20.
Yeah, he's only been in the league.
He's 20.
He's
gone next level. Unbelievable. And the other one I want to talk about quickly, I'm expecting a massive week at the tribunal. Cats coach Chris Scott had a little saucy verbal. I wonder whether they'll do anything there, maybe a slap on the wrist. Geelong's Gary Rowan copped a 2-week ban for a swinging arm on Lachie Neale. It was off play. I didn't think he hit its head. I think Rowan will appeal that one. The big one yesterday, if you guys saw it, we'll put it on our Rowies Sport Twitter account. GWS Sam Reid, at a stoppage, was standing. Nat Fyfe ran into him. Reid put him into la-la land. Be interesting to see how they grade that one. I thought Fyfe was the instigator. Reid braced. Okay, got him high, knocked him out. For me, that was a footy accident. Going to be interesting, that one.
Well, Fyfe's out next week, isn't he? Based on the new concussion protocols.
Gone. He's in la-la land, so he won't play. We'll cover all of that. The Crows AFLW team, goodness me, beat Collingwood, finished top, got a week off. Bix and Stud, Easter's around the corner. I'm going to fill my bunghole full of Easter eggs as we speak. See you, boys.
Good on you, Rowie.
And Rowie, there's a text here too for you, mate. From a Port supporter, clearly. Don't you dare play Can You Feel It? Just get rid of it from the system.
No.
He's going to put the hex on. Oh, it's coming. It's coming. 22 after 7. Stephen Rowe, thanks to North Point Toyota, the all-new hybrid Klugers. Coming to North Point, you can register your interest today. It is the North Point way.
Hey, how about we all head to Jarmer's Kitchen before the big game?
Awesome!
I might order a Chateaubriand.
Dad, you know that's just fancy for Angus pure beef tenderloin. Slow roasted, served with triple cooked casserole potatoes, green beans, mushrooms, roasted shallots and béarnaise sauce.
Yeah, I know that. I just like saying Chateaubriand. Chateaubriand. Jarmer's Kitchen. Fancy, made easy.
Hi there, I'm Matt, a Specsavers optometrist. Did you know that every Specsavers is locally owned and operated by an optometrist just like me? We believe eye tests should reveal more, not cost more, which is why we include an OCT advanced 3D eye scan with every eye test at no extra charge. Does your optometrist? Experience the Specsavers difference and book your eye test today. We're here to look after your eye health and keep you safe in store. Visit specsavers.com.au.
Know what's kick-ass? Getting out there and exploring the great outdoors. And the right gear can make it really kick-ass. For quality four-wheel drive and camping gear, use kick-ass products. Available only at australiandirect.com.au.
When people walk through the doors at Pals, the first thing they say is wow. Not only because of the size and the selection, but also because of the team. Sam and Jamie have tasted every drop. They and their team can recommend a whiskey that's just as good as that hard-to-find Japanese one, if they don't have it, that is. Or a beautiful red that's reminiscent of that outstanding cellar door you once travelled so far to visit. Parafield Airport Liquor Store. Pals, next to Roulette's Tavern, Kings Road, Parafield.
Major road resurfacing works on the South Eastern Freeway between the Toll Gate and Hyson tunnels will be underway until mid-2021. Motorists should expect delays, so allow extra travel time. Visit dit.sa.gov.au/SE Freeway. A message from the Government of South Australia.
5AA Breakfast is streaming live right now. To watch, simply head online to 5AA Facebook or search 5AA on YouTube.
And maybe it took the words right out of my mouth.
Get up to $100 instant cash back on top tyre brands at Bob Jane T-Marts. You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
25 minutes after 7, Pasquale has called in. Morning to you, Pasquale.
Good morning.
So, Pasquale, you're calling in from Alberton too. What would you like to say?
I would like to say, with the lack of consultation on this development, I'm really just upset about Port Power and all that. I support all the football and everything like that, but this is hit below the belt. Basically, they just want to turn the area into what would look like an industrial landscape, and they're trying to compare it to, it's a heritage area. We listed on a heritage zone where we can't even paint the colour of our houses what we like. So, and they want to build this and say, well, it's in accordance to the wool sheds, and it's really quite funny.
Yeah, no, that's a good point, Pasquale. Thanks for that. You know, one thing that a lot of people said to me when I was in Joslin, out there on 4th and 5th Avenues, talking to the residents about their new neighbours, the Chinese consulate, which is being formally opened tomorrow morning. Joslin is a heritage area, so there's all these rules and strictures about what type of fence you can put up, about how you can, like if you've got a home that's like a, you know, turn of the century Federation type bungalow or something like that, you can't make any changes to it. But it appears that if you've got the right development approval or exemption, you can build a compound complete with 3 metre high concrete walls, motion sensors, security cameras, whereas, you know, the couple down the street will incur the wrath of the council if they, you know, don't put up a heritage fence.
Bit of federal government interest in that story now too.
Yeah, that story's chugging along. There were 3 different Liberal senators who asked the head of DFAT about it in Senate estimates hearings on Thursday, and DFAT said that it's keeping an eye on things, but that as things currently stand, that the Chinese consulate here in Adelaide is built and operated in accordance with what's called the Vienna Convention, which is all the rules surrounding, you know, how
you're allowed to
embassies
have,
and whatever operate. But the head of DFAT, she did say, I can understand why people look at it in a city the size of Adelaide and say, well, that seems quite large. Not that she suggested there was anything wrong going on, but she said that if there was anything that deviated from the Vienna protocols, that they'd be all over it.
It seems to me there's a confusion of a couple of gripes or concerns about the embassy. One being this inherent suspicion that, you know, all is not as it seems and it's overstaffed and what's really going on. But I think the most relevant one is, why in the hell is one in the middle of the suburbs?
Yeah, why isn't it in the city?
Yeah.
Or in some area that's not smack bang on top of housing.
Absolutely.
The other problem, though, and this is where this is like a huge challenge for the Premier right now. Like, you can imagine when the invitation to launch the embassy landed in his inbox 3 weeks ago, he would have gone, oh, okay, thanks, fantastic. Because it puts him in a bit of a no-win situation. You know, if you don't go, it looks like this massive diplomatic snub to China. If you do go, you risk offending a lot of people who think, well, what do we owe China anyway? But the relationship with China seems to get worse by the day. I mean, 2 days ago, they announced that the tariffs are going to be in place against the South Australian wine industry, not for a year, but for 5 years.
5 years.
So it's becoming increasingly difficult to put any type of rosy spin on the relationship with China when their language is becoming so much more aggro and bellicose. And I guess the thing about a guy like Stephen Marshall, who's like, you know, a classic small L Liberal, is it's a bit of a, oh, look, you know, we all need to get along. That seems to be the approach, and there's a lot of trade still, even though we're having problems.
Well, this is where, I mean, it's clever strategy. It's clever strategy to try to affect change in Australia, because on the one hand, as we've said previously on the program, there's a big story in the Fin Review about it this morning. Iron ore trade is booming, record prices, and it's so much so that in a macroeconomic sense, none of the other little things are actually affecting the Australian economy at large.
Yeah.
But what they are affecting are small townships, regions, cities, maybe places like Adelaide, were exposed to the wine region, places with collections of people who will be hurt and therefore they hope will make noise about it when it comes to an election, or indeed...
The other thing that's interesting too was that when I did that story the other day about the fact that the Premier was going to open it, I spoke to the peak winemaking body and I also spoke to the lobster industry. And when I told them what the story was, both of the guys I was talking to went, really? And I went, yeah. And I said, but do you want to comment or not? Because, and both industries said, you know what, we're going to sit it out.
Yep.
Because deep down as an industry, we kind of hope that all this crap stops and we can just get back to having a good trade relationship with them. So they didn't want to pot him over it.
Well, it's a lot easier for everyone else who doesn't have skin in the game to be critical of
100%
of China and the Australian government.
Yeah, totally.
These guys, it's what they try to turn up to work to do every day. 5AA News Time. Jay Riley, one of our former colleagues, is going to join us after 7:30 today to talk about the passing of Villy over the weekend.
This is Adelaide's 5AA.
Sunny and 24 today with the 7:30 news. I'm Kendall Brettig.
Woken with a stiff neck or sore back? Get a Physio Extra appointment today. 6 locations, physioextra.com.
The Syrian community's in mourning after a teenager drowned off Browns Beach on the York Peninsula. 16-year-old Ahmad Alfaran of Paralawi had jumped into the water to rescue a friend who'd slipped off the rocks. Superintendent Mark Cyrus says it's a tragedy.
The boy's father was here, and again, tragic that he had to witness his young son being located.
He was on a school trip with 8 classmates and 2 teachers from Pinnacle College. They've been offered counselling. Major crash officers are investigating a 3-car smash at McLaren Vale last night. It happened at the intersection of Main Road and Johnston Road. One woman was airlifted to Flinders in a critical condition. 6 others were taken to hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. The JobKeeper scheme is officially wound up, with potentially 150,000 Australians now unsure about what lies ahead. The coronavirus payment came to a halt yesterday. Treasurer Josh Frydenberg says if it had gone on any longer, it would have been detrimental to the country's economic recovery.
The advice from Treasury was very clear. That program has to come to an end. It was initially for 6 months. We extended it to 12 months. And if we left it in place as the economy strengthened, it would have actually been counterproductive.
While Prime Minister Scott Morrison has seen another drop in voter approval as his government deals with the fallout over the treatment of women in Parliament. The latest news poll shows Labor maintains its 52 to 48% lead after preferences. Health authorities in Queensland believe they've found one of the missing links to an earlier outbreak. The brother of a man who was diagnosed on Thursday is the state's latest infection. It's believed he caught the virus as a result of a cluster at a Brisbane hospital in March. The UK hit a major milestone, delivering 30 million doses of the COVID vaccination. More from Nine's Kari-Anne Greenbank in London.
Across the UK, more than 30 million people have now received their first dose of a vaccine, a new record for the nation as restrictions are about to ease slightly, including the resumption of outdoor sports. The next month will be a bumpy one though, with significant reduction of Oxford AstraZeneca vaccine supply due to delays from India, along with ongoing tensions with the EU. By late April, though, the first Moderna doses are set to arrive in the UK.
The Australian Cyber Security Centre's providing assistance to the Nine network as it deals with a cyber attack. Live TV broadcasts have been disrupted by the incident. The origin of the breach is under investigation. Cyber security expert Paul Toomey says it could be coming from offshore.
The sort of people, just take Russia for instance, there's about 30 cyber gangs working in Russia. They do about $2 billion worth of business every year out of these these types of attacks.
The Australian Parliament's also investigating a potential cyber attack which was affecting government-issued smartphones and tablets over the weekend. Spain will trial a 4-day working week in a bid to improve productivity. The country will use around €50 million from the EU's Coronavirus Recovery Fund to compensate employers over the 3-year trial. Now turning to 5AA Sport.
The 19th is West Premium Home and Land Collection with golf course views. Visit the 19th West today.
Here's Tom Wren.
Thank you, Kendall. Port Adelaide's players will hit the training track for a light session at Alberton this afternoon as they look ahead to Saturday night's blockbuster against West Coast in Perth. The Power are a chance to regain Connor Rosie for his first match of the season. The Crows will also hold some light recovery today ahead of Friday night's match against Gold Coast. And there were 3 matches to wrap up the round yesterday, with Richmond beating Hawthorn by 29 points. The Bulldogs beat West Coast by 7 points, while Fremantle were too good for GWS, winning by 31 points. Meantime, the Crows women will have the luxury of a week off after beating Collingwood by 14 points yesterday. The result means they finished on top after the minor round. Let's go to motorsport. Lewis Hamilton has begun his campaign for a record 8th Formula One title with a win. That was at the season-opening Bahrain Grand Prix. Pre-race favourite Max Verstappen took the lead with just 4 laps remaining, but was forced to relinquish it after completing his overtake whilst off the track.
He has been put under immense pressure by Max Verstappen and Red Bull here tonight. Sir Lewis Hamilton, as he is now, crosses the line and wins the Bahrain Grand Prix. Max Verstappen and Red Bull come home to take second place.
Valtteri Bottas joined them on the podium. Daniel Ricciardo finished 7th in his first race for McLaren. Adelaide United's made it 6 wins on the trot in the A-League after beating Sydney FC 1-0. Meantime, it's full time in World Cup qualifiers with Italy beating Bulgaria 2-0. England also 2-0 winners over Albania, while Israel and Scotland drew 1-1. And that's the 5AA Sport.
Now 5AA Traffic.
Dave Potter, Australia's #1 Honda dealer, 2nd year running. DavePotterHonda.com.au.
Traffic running well this morning until you get to the smashes. Elizabeth Downs on Midway Road, Hamblin Road, freeway down track of the Mount Barker ramp, Mount Barker, Glenburn Road, Montague Road, Campbelltown, and Roadworks Main North Road, Kings Road intersection over in Salisbury East. Style your home with Freedom Homewares. Right now you can get 25% off their entire homewares range, including 25% off rugs, cushions, lighting and more. On now only at Freedom. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
Make sure you and your car stay cool with aircon and cooling services. Call 1300 Automasters.
Sunny and 24 today, sunny again tomorrow, 27, 29 on Wednesday and up to 30 on Thursday. At the moment, 11. More news as it happens on 5AA.
Get up to $100 instant cash back on top tyre brands at Bob Jane T-Marts. You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
23 minutes to wait. Hearing word out of Canberra that there will be a reshuffle today, or the long-anticipated reshuffle will be formally announced today. We'll jump into that conversation before 9 o'clock today.
Well, they've got 3 people on sick leave or stress leave at the moment.
The
2 of them in cabinet
is not going to shrink in number. And
Porter and
Linda Reynolds
are going to stay in the ministry.
That's right.
So Andrew Lamming, not a minister, obviously.
No, hadn't showed the aptitude.
Backbencher and amateur photographer.
And professional. Oddball.
He's an oddball, isn't he?
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, really sad news over the weekend. Villy, who... I think you'd say Villy to anyone on the street in South Australia and they know instantly who you're talking about. They certainly know the product. They know the company. Became one of the largest baking companies in the world. They make more than 40 million of products a year, exporting to 24 countries around the globe. However, it's not the company, it's the man that we're talking about this morning. At the age of 72, following a lung transplant operation over the weekend, he passed away. Jane Riley got to know him really well and is a friend and wanted to come on this morning and talk about Villy. And we love the opportunity to chat with Jane. Unfortunately, it's under rather sad circumstances, Jane, but tell us about your friend.
Oh, look, he was, good morning, guys, for a start, but look, he was the most amazing man. Generous of spirit and generous of giving things to people. He was a great supporter of variety, and that's probably where I got to know him the best, through his support of variety. He used to have a car in the variety bash called Car Villy, and one of my most fondest memories of being on the bash is like being out in the outback, out in the dunes and over the salt bush, and you're out in the middle of nowhere, and you come over this rise, and then down in the bottom of the rise is Car Villy with about 20 or 30 bash cars around it, and in the back of this ute they had a pie warmer. So in the middle of nowhere, And there he would be handing out pies and pasties and sausage rolls, and would always hang on to a Villy dog for me because that was my favourite. But that was sort of epitomised his personality. He was a giver. He was a hard-working man. He was proudly Hungarian by birth, but he said Australian by choice. And he was just a person who was passionate. Whenever I went down to Cafe Villy, and, you know, I confess up now that when I was on the road for you guys, I'd often drop in there for a coffee with him or, you know, use the loo or whatever. But I always have to allow half an hour because he would have an opinion on the politics of the day, what was happening in our state, what was happening in our nation. He'd always want to have a really good chat. And on Friday nights when I'd be down there maybe during the weather, he'd always have a glass of red wine for me and we'd sit and chat with everyone. He was a very hospitable person. He was the best fryer of chips. He loved his staff, but he was the one that loved to get on the chip fryer and did the best job.
He seemed like a very hands-on businessman, Jane. Like he took such a huge interest in his staff, and I've got to know one of the guys who works there baking in the big factory there, and you know, it sounds like he was someone. He would have known everyone's name, you know.
He did.
Yeah.
He did. And the staff were treated really well, and he had a role for everyone. And he had, you know, people like working out in the car park, making sure the cars were parked safely. But they all had a spot to come and sit to eat their lunch. They were very, very well looked after. And I'm sure down at Cafe Villy, both down at Mile End and also the one on Main North Road, that it would be a very sad day for them, you know, because he was much loved. He was respected. He was a gentleman, but he was a strong man. He was passionate. And in his life, there was a few hiccups. You know, you might remember a few years ago there were hiccups about some product that came out and where did it come from. He was passionate about getting that right. He had a strong sense of justice. And you walked into Cafe Villy and you would see people from all walks of life. There would be mums with little kids. There'd be people in high-vis vests. There'd be people in suit and tie going into Villies to get either a breakfast or a lunch or a dinner. He just didn't stop. And he, as you said, he was really hands-on. You didn't need to phone Villy because you knew that he was going to be there.
Yeah.
The last time I saw him, I was going back through my photos and that was November 2019, because obviously with COVID and then I stopped working. I didn't see him so much, but I kept in touch through the family and through Variety. But he wasn't well back then. I thought he told me that he had something wrong with his heart back then. But his great passion, two passions, one was baking, the other great passion was his wife Rosemary, and they were an absolute team. And I can't imagine what Rosemary and I know Simon really well from the Bash, they would be suffering a great loss because he was a man that was bigger than life itself. And as I said, look, an absolute gentleman, but a strong man as well. He had very strong views on life and how people should behave, and he behaved really well. He was a very generous man.
Well, that's a wonderful tribute, Jane, and thanks for coming on to share it with the people of Adelaide and South Australia.
Yeah,
because...
I'm, like many, I'm very sad that he's gone, and let's raise a pie or pasty or sausage roll to Villy sometime this week.
Absolutely.
In respect.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Good on you, Jane. Lovely to speak to you.
Cheers, Jane.
Jane Riley on Villy. You know, I once worked with someone from Victoria who said something, and it was designed to be disparaging to South Australia, and they said, "There's no celebrities in South Australia. There's no stars. None of the big names in Australia live in South Australia. Your celebrities are always business owners. You know, real estate magnates, people that make pasties and pies." And I actually kind of think that's the vacuous concept of celebrity. Celebrating people because they're on home and away.
Half the people you read about in like Sydney Confidential, I'm scratching my head going, who are these people?
Well, but
what are they famous for?
Without being, I mean, everyone kicks actors and whatnot, and that's fine. But look, they contribute to entertainment, which is important. But these, the kind of people that we tend to celebrate here, employ people and start businesses, and they're a huge part of the community for their generosity and what they do. And at the time, it was designed to be snarky, but I reflect on it now and think it's actually a really good thing. There's substance to the people we end up talking about, like a Villy, who doesn't get talked about probably in a Sydney or Melbourne.
No. I was talking over the weekend to the South Australian Agent General in London, Bill Muirhead, the famous advertising guy, cracking bloke, Bill, and he sent me this email that said, "Sad, I just received an email from Barry Humphries saying desolate news, but at least there'll be a decent pie in the sky. Don't you love him? He was there when we had the Great Village pie theft at Australia House. I had a South Australia Club event. We had 1,000 party pies for about 150 people, and they all disappeared. I didn't even get one. Women were filling their handbags, and blokes were putting them into their pockets. Appalling behaviour. And at the next event, Barry Humphries announced that we were microchipping the pies to catch the culprits. And then Bill finishes by saying he was a hero. It was people like him who built Australia. I just thought it was worth sharing. It was a lovely email.
15 minutes to 8. It's time to check traffic. Thanks to Dave Potter. Their Mad March demo clearance is on now with huge savings and factory bonuses across the range.
Elizabeth Downs, Midway Road, Hamblin Road, a truck hit a car. Salisbury Highway, Park Terrace and Oil Spill, Salisbury. Glenburn at Montacute Road, Campbelltown. Debris getting cleared from an earlier accident. Ultratune offers drive now, pay later and interest free with open pay. Call 1-800-025-715 or search Ultratune to find a participating service centre near you. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
Fresh nuts, mouth-watering chocolates and eye-popping Easter gifts. G'day, I'm Brett Charlesworth and there are 3 irresistible reasons to include Charlesworth nuts on your Easter shopping list. If you're a connoisseur looking for the absolute best and freshest nuts and can taste the difference, then give us a try. Share them with your guests or give a Charlesworth Easter gift and watch their eyes light up. 11 family-owned South Aussie stores or shop online right now and get it delivered. Why Charlesworth? Because fresh nuts taste better.
Hi, Bronte Manuel from Toop and Toop. Do you know about Toop Vault? It's a unique product devised by us more than 6 years ago that's evolved into one of Australia's most effective off-market property selling tools. With a database that's fast approaching 17,000 active buyers, Toop Vault is ideal for a targeted, discreet property campaign. The Vault works so well that it sells more than one home a week. To unlock the benefits of Toop Vault, call us today on 8362 8888 or go to vault.toop.com.au.
Have you ever heard the saying, it's not about the destination, it's about the journey? Well, it could not be truer than when it comes to home renovations. Oh, my word. Home renovations are the kind of thing, every time you do it, you go, oh, that's right, this is hell.
Yeah.
And then it finishes, and a couple of years later you think, oh, we should do that again. Yeah. It's hard to get excited about a new bathroom or kitchen reno if the whole process has been a living nightmare.
That's right, but it's not the case with Biurban. At Biurban Bathrooms and Kitchens, it's all about the journey. And Coxie and the entire team, well, they go to amazing lengths to ensure the whole process is trouble-free. From meeting Tammy, one of the owners, affectionately known as the Boss Lady, through to their incredible design team and millimetre-perfect tradespeople who are the tidiest tradies you'll ever meet, and they're on time.
So start your journey to a stunning and worry-free home renovation with Biurban Bathrooms, Kitchens, Flooring and Shutters. Adelaide's home renovation experts. Visit biurban.com.au.
Walco, Blanky! Walco, Blanky! Walco, Blanky! This is a game Pool and I play. Each night I come out and put her Walco blankie on. Keeps her from evaporating. But winter is coming. Soon she'll need her Walco Guardian pool cover. Sure, the fun ends, but I know she's looked after. Chemicals sealed off from the light, water clean, and no need for your pump. Get your pool a Walco Guardian pool cover for winter. Walco.com.au.
5AA Breakfast is streaming live right now. To watch, simply head online to 5AA Facebook or search 5AA on YouTube. Get up to $100 instant cash back on top tyre brands at Bob Jane T-Marts. You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
13 to 8, John Blake coming up in just a moment. Then after 8, we've got Breaking at 8. Kate Ellis is going to join us to talk about the release of her new book, Inside. I tell you what, how long does it take? Has she been writing this book for?
Oh, about a year.
About a year, so a year ago, and suddenly it'll be released into an environment where the biggest talking point in the country is what it's like working in Canberra. And it was an idea that started well before this was on anyone's radar.
Yeah.
We will talk to her about it after 8 o'clock today.
The good thing about the book is that even though she's Labor, a lot of the best stories in it come from people from the other side of politics. Like she spoke to Julie Bishop. She even spoke to Pauline Hanson. The Pauline Hanson stuff's fascinating because the main story that Pauline tells was about the time that one of the newspapers in Sydney ran these front page photographs purporting to be of her having done this sort of Playboy style shoot, like centerfold shots. And they ran them on the front page.
I remember that.
Turns out it was some poor woman in Vladivostok or something who had red hair. But they ended up on the front page of the paper.
Well, I remember that story, and that's all I remember of it.
And it was quite funny, like having a sort of behind the scenes look at the book, and because my wife's politics and Pauline Hanson's couldn't be any farther apart.
But it's not about the politics, is it?
No,
it's about the experience.
It's not. And I think it's the kind of thing where, as blokes, you don't immediately grasp what it's like to just have this sort of constant background hum of people talking about, geez, you look all right in that dress, or have you heard the rumour about her?
Yeah. Yeah, I wonder how she got that job.
Yeah. Well, it was the very first week she was in Canberra, someone came up to her, and someone who later became an MP said, the only question we've got about you is how many blokes did you have to get here? And actually use the F word. And she's like 24 or 5 going, sorry?
No, that's just appalling.
And that guy later got pre-selection, became a minister.
All right, let's we'll get back into that after 8 o'clock today. Let's talk about the weather, because that is unequivocally a good news story this week. Amelia Mulcahy from 7 News joins us. Morning to you, Amelia.
Good morning. I love bringing good news stories, and we've got one this week. You hit the nail on the head there. Beautiful week leading into Easter, but also it's our last week of daylight saving. That ends this weekend too, so I'll get to that in a tick. But today, sunny, 24 degrees, warming up gradually. Tomorrow, 27. Wednesday 29, up to 30 degrees on Thursday for the 1st of April. No joke, hopefully. And then the Easter long weekend's looking magnificent. 18 degrees the low Friday, and then up to 32. Saturday, the low is 20, and then up to 32. And I'm kind of mentioning the lows here because around this time of year, they're about 17 degrees, the average, or lower. So we've got some slightly warmer nights in the mix, which is great if you're obviously heading away. You're out and about, maybe camping or something like that. We've got just nights that are on the warmish side. And then Sunday, a bit of cloud around. We're going for a top of 26 degrees, but still not too bad. I was having a look at, Easter's just gone and the temperatures have sort of had around there. And obviously the date varies, so it's not particularly, accurate for, I suppose, what we should be seeing at that time of year, because the time of year changes. But even just last year, Easter Sunday was 18 degrees. Thanks for coming. Yeah. So we've got a really lovely weekend ahead. Also, of course, daylight saving does end on Sunday. Clocks go backward an hour, so that's just something else to factor in. But you can't write this sort of stuff. This is brilliant. A really beautiful week ahead, just to get out there, enjoy the last of the daylight saving before. I guess that's kind of just what Easter marks to me. It's kind of the transition into the cooler month. You kind of get this lovely long weekend, and then it's kind of daylight saving ends, and down rugging up and all that sort of stuff. So at least we've got a really beautiful week ahead to enjoy it.
Absolutely.
Good stuff, Amelia. Good on you, Amelia. She paints a wonderful picture. So Easter long weekend, it's going to be hot and the clock gets wound back. So we get an extra hour.
Oh, yes. Perfect scenario.
Thank you very much.
You going away?
No, not going away.
Just staying local?
No, I'm just staying local. Not calling this weekend, so I might actually get to go to the football.
Oh, yeah.
That'll be a bit of fun.
Gold Coast Friday, isn't it?
That's right.
Good Friday.
Yeah.
Good Friday.
Yeah. There's one certain you won't be watching.
I'll
text
education
you.
Was wasted on you.
I'll text you about it. I'll give you score updates. Can you read them?
I'll be deep in reflection. Don't roll on Saturdays.
Shums. 8 to 8. It's time to check traffic thanks to Dave Potter, Australia's #1 Honda dealer, second year running, davepotterhonda.com.au.
Elizabeth Downs, Midway Road, Hamblin Road, a truck's at a car, Salisbury Highway, Park Terrace and Oil Spill, Salisbury, Glenburn at Montacute Road, Campbelltown. Debris getting cleared from an earlier accident. Ultratune offers drive now, pay later and interest-free with Open Pay. Call 1-800-025-715 or search Ultratune to find a participating service centre near you. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
Have you reached a crossroads in your life? Looking to make a change for the better? Secure your family's future and make a difference in your community whilst building a business in the thriving and dynamic home care industry with Right at Home. You'll enjoy the freedom to grow your own business with the full support of a top quality national home care brand. Make your dreams come true. Talk to Right at Home about a home care franchise. To find out more, visit rightathome.com.au and click on Business Opportunities.
Right now, kids with cancer need your support more than ever. I'm Chris Hartley, President of the Childhood Cancer Association. My son Thomas was diagnosed with a rare brain tumour at just 6 months old. It meant 5 surgeries, 40 MRIs and general anaesthetics, 122 weeks of chemotherapy and hundreds of hospital appointments. But there are hundreds of families like mine who need support to help them cope. Please donate to keep their vital support services alive. The world has hit pause, but cancer hasn't stopped. Please donate at childhoodcancer.asn.au.
This Easter and across the school holidays, hop aboard Steam Range's famous cockle train with 3 trips daily between Goolwa and Victor Harbour and added services Easter Saturday and Sunday. Ride behind vintage steam trains, classic diesels and heritage rail cars along one of Australia's most scenic coastal railways. Or head inland with special trips to Finnis and Strathalbyn. For more info, visit Steam Ranger online or on the line with tickets available from the Goolwa, Port Elliot and Victor Harbour stations.
Get your hot cross buns ready and get your Woolies worth for Easter with 6 to 9 pack hot cross bun varieties. Any 2 for $6. Save $1. Excludes brioche buns.
That's why I pick Woolies.
9 News, weeknights at 5, nightly at 6. The switch is on to the news that's live and local. 9 News, made in Adelaide. Get up to $100 instant cash back on top tyre brands at Bob Jane T-Marts. You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
5 minutes to 8, breaking 8 after 8 o'clock. We'll have our weekend real estate wrap with Toop and Toop in just a moment. But first, thanks to Aussie Fast Transport Solutions, interstate freight, distribution, warehousing and local Adelaide couriers. Call Aussie Fast 13 1364. It's time for John Blake.
Morning, early risers. This is Wallace Fogg, and welcome along once again to What Am I in Adelaide? What the hell's on in Adelaide? Well, actually, it's more like a what's the problem, Adelaide, because I have a fairly sensitive subject to talk to you about today. Now, we all know there's nothing worse than going off early. But when your excitement level gets to its most intense far too quickly, it can end in disappointment and feelings of gross inadequacy. The syndrome I'm talking about affects Adelaide Crows supporters, and of course it is known as premature jubilation. A series of workshops are going to be held to teach people how to fix this problem. One of the techniques is to self-celebrate a couple of hours before the game. So find a quiet spot by yourself and pretend the Crows have won. And then when they don't, you won't feel as depressed as you otherwise might have. Now, another treatment for premature jubilation is called the start-stop method. The way that works is you let yourself get just to the point of celebrating and singing the club song and then force yourself to stop. Now, I know this takes a lot of self-discipline, but the experts tell us that if you practice the technique often enough, by about round 5 you should be almost cured. They say that by then the urge to celebrate too early will have almost completely disappeared and you'll no longer have to deal with that insidious condition and you'll feel like things are back to normal just like they were last year. Well, I hope that's helped, and by the way, there's another workshop coming up this weekend to help people who have a tendency to yell out expletives for no apparent reason, and that's being run by a branch of the ABC, and it's good to see our tax dollars being spent on something worthwhile, isn't it? Well, that's it. I'll see you again some other time. In the meantime, this is Wallace Fogg saying some people refer to it as road rage. I refer to it as aggressively manoeuvring around dickweeds who don't know how to drive. And bye for now! But before I go, don't forget.
More from John Blake coming up after 8:30 when we go behind closed doors. Let's talk real estate. Susanna Toop from Toop and Toop joins us. Morning, Susanna.
Good morning, guys.
So how was the weekend, Susanna?
Look, we had the number of open homes that we had were down slightly, but we do have a number of new properties ready to launch after Easter. And just looking at the auction results, another very strong weekend. We're holding them not just on the weekend, but during the week as well. And a great result in Unleashed. We had a 4-bedroom, 2-bathroom on 475 square metres, and it sold for $1,340,000. And another property in Kangarilla, so Meadows, Typo sort of way. A beautiful lifestyle property on over 20 acres, perfect for growing vines or having horses, and it sold for $995,000. So great lineup of auctions, and they're continuing not just on the weekend, but throughout the week as well.
What's the data telling you about the direction of prices? Are we reaching a ceiling, or is it going to continue to grow like it has been?
Oh, it's really interesting. ANZ have come out last week saying they expect house prices in Adelaide to climb by another 13% this year, which is huge.
What?
And look, we don't have a crystal ball, but I think if what we're seeing very much on the ground is that the market fundamentals are very strong right now. So you've got historic low interest rates, a stock shortage coupled with high demand, and that's what's contributing to the current surge in prices. And look, indicators from the ground as well, we're seeing auction clearance rates tipped 93% earlier this month. So confidence is high. That usually would sit around 60 to 70%.
So, Susanna, sorry to interrupt you there. The surge in demand, where are you seeing that coming from? Because we haven't got new people moving here from overseas. There's...
Where's it
We've had more from interstate.
Yeah.
We have actually had more people moving.
Is that what it is? Is it people from interstate? What are you seeing?
So we're seeing quite a lot of expats moving back from overseas. We're also seeing people who take lifestyle choice moving to Adelaide for different jobs. And because you can work from anywhere now, that's definitely a factor. But also we've had a lot of pent-up buyer demand. So a lot of buyers have been in the market for, say, 18 months. And we didn't have that big surge in stock that would usually come around spring. So they didn't get flushed out of the system. So you've still got an overhang of buyers still sitting there, and there hasn't been enough property tipped in to do the buyer matching to sort of find them all a house. So it's sort of been pent up over an 18-month, almost 2-year period as well, and there hasn't been enough property for all the buyers that are still sitting in the system.
It almost feels like some people are going, if I don't buy a house now, I never will, because if they keep going up this much, I'll be stuffed in 5 years' time, so I better get in now.
Yeah, and they're looking for property, and they've been, you speak to a lot of people, they're saying, I've been searching for 18 months, so they're just ready to act, they want to buy, and a lot of new buyers are keep tipping into the system as well, so you can see how without that stock level clearing them out, so people have bought a house, they then exit the market, you've still got a lot of buyers still sitting there wanting to secure property.
Susanna, really interesting stuff.
Great stuff.
Appreciate your insights. Susanna Toop from Toop and Toop with our weekend real estate wrap. Nice tribute, Scott from Modbury on the Telstra Storm Out Barker text line to Villy.
Yeah, this is great.
Makes the point, if everyone that moved to Australia loved the place and worked as hard as Villy did, Australia would be the most amazing place in the universe. Easily one of Cornsy's best interviews is the one with Villy. I highly recommend people listen to it. Villy was infectious with his can-do attitude. We've lost a South Australian giant. Good on you, Scott. Lovely text.
Online, on DAB Digital Radio and on 1395 AM. Talking Adelaide. This is Adelaide's 5AA.
Sunny and 24 today with the 8 o'clock news. I'm Kendall Brettig.
Physio Extra is a registered NDIS provider, so let them support you in achieving your goals. physioextra.com.
A man will face court today charged with murder after the death of a man in a house fire at Woodville West earlier this month. 2 women also suffered burns. Senior Constable Jen Cullinan says the 32-year-old was extradited back from New South Wales last week.
The man wanted for questioning over that fire was arrested after crashing his car in country New South Wales. He was then taken to a hospital in Sydney where he remained for a few days, and on Friday detectives from South Australia went to New South Wales and extradited him back.
Students at Pinnacle College in the northern suburbs are being offered counselling after a classmate drowned on a school trip on the weekend. 16-year-old Ahmad Alfarad of Paralawi jumped into the water to try to rescue a friend who'd slipped off the rocks at Browns Beach. He's being hailed a hero for the selfless act. Police are investigating whether 2 business break-ins in the eastern suburbs overnight are linked. A dentist on Paynham Road at St Peters and an orthodontist on Kensington Road at Norwood were ransacked. It's unclear what was stolen. Tens of thousands are expected to turn to financial counselling now JobKeeper has come to an end. Up to 150,000 people are predicted to lose their job without the subsidy. The CEO of Financial Counselling Australia, Fiona Guthrie, expects a spike in the number of people using their services.
Calls to the National Debt Helpline were 180,000 per year. They were 130,000 last year, and that's a really good thing. All of those supports have cushioned people and cushioned the economy, but as you say, life support is being turned off.
Voter approval has dropped for the Prime Minister in the latest news poll as Scott Morrison deals with ongoing sexual harassment allegations within the coalition. His rating has dropped 7 points over the past fortnight to 55%. Approval for opposition leader Anthony Albanese is steady at 43%. Defence chiefs from a dozen countries have released a rare joint statement condemning Myanmar for its use of force against unarmed citizens. More than 400 people have been killed since the military coup in February. 100 of those happened in a single day over the weekend. This protester says statements are not enough.
Instead of giving statements of condemning all these actions, to take direct and proper actions. This revolution must win to end this dictatorship once and for all.
The Duchess of Cambridge has launched a new photo book, Portraits of the Pandemic. More from Nine's Curry-Ann Greenbank in London.
The Duchess of Cambridge is helping to document history, launching a new photo book recording Britain's lockdown. Last year, the Duchess asked people to document life during the pandemic and was met with a phenomenal response. More than 30,000 people sending in portraits, some heartbreaking, others offering hope and insight. 100 of those photos have now been selected for this new book. Kate Middleton saying she wants to use the power of photography to create a lasting record.
Now turning to 5AA Sport.
The 19th is West's premium home and land collection with golf course views. Visit the 19th West today.
Here's Tom Wren.
Thank you, Kendall. Port Adelaide and the Crows will recover today as they look ahead to their round 3 matches this weekend. The Power are a chance to regain Connor Rosie for their match against West Coast, while Adelaide is an outside chance to get back defender Daniel Talia. Let's go to soccer, and Adelaide United's stunning form has continued after a 1-0 win against Sydney FC. It's the Reds' 6th straight win, the goal coming via a penalty in the second half.
The strike is wide. Penalty Reds. Good one. Too good for Redmayne.
Yeah, great result. That audio thanks to Fox. Now, the Reds are only 1 point off top spot, and they can go top if they beat Central Coast on Thursday night. The Adelaide 36ers' rough run of results has continued after going down to Cairns by 14 points. The result leaves the Sixers struggling in 7th spot. To cricket, and the Redbacks are on the bottom of the One-Day Cup ladder after being smashed by 160 runs against Queensland in Brisbane. Marnus Labuschagne was awarded man of the match for his 82 for the Bulls. To tennis, and Aussie Alexei Popyrin has just claimed the second set to send his third-round match at the Miami Open against Daniil Medvedev into a decider. And in some golf news to finish, Billy Horschel is 2 up through 9 holes in the World Golf Match Play final. That's against fellow American Scotty Scheffler. Meantime, American Joel Darman has just won a PGA event held in the Dominican Republic. He won by 1 shot ahead of Sam Ryder and Rafael Campos. Aaron Baddeley was the best of the Aussies, finishing 12 shots back. And that's the 5AA Sport.
Now checking 5AA traffic.
Dave Potter's Mad March demo clearance is on now with huge savings and factory bonuses across the range.
Roadworks this morning holding up the parade at Fullerton Road, Norwood, McIntyre Kings, Main North Road intersection, Salisbury East. Near there as well, there's an oil spill, Park Terrace, Salisbury Highway. Smashes up there too, Elizabeth Downs, Midway Road, Hamblin Road. KFC's $4.95 fill-up is now available for delivery. It's got hot cinnamony Kentucky Fried Donuts too. Only on the KFC app. Offer only delivered in SA and not forever until 4 p.m. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
Make sure you and your car stay cool with aircon and cooling services. Call 1300 Automasters.
Sunny and 24 today, sunny again tomorrow, 27, 29 on Wednesday and up to 30 on Thursday. At the moment 12. More news as it happens on 5AA.
In the last hour on Adelaide's 5AA.
Jane Riley got to know him really well and is a friend and wanted to come on this morning and talk about Billy.
He was the most amazing man, generous of spirit and generous of giving things to people. He was a man that was bigger than life itself. And as I said, look, an absolute gentleman, but a strong man as well. Like many, I'm very sad that he's gone. And let's raise a pile pasty or sausage roll to Billy sometime this week.
Absolutely.
With respect.
Absolutely. Let's talk about the weather because that is unequivocally a good news story this week. Amelia Mulcahy from 7 News joins us.
Even just last year, Easter Sunday was 18 degrees. Thanks for coming. So we've got a really lovely weekend ahead. Also, of course, daylight saving does end on Sunday. Clocks go backward an hour, so that's just something else to factor in. But, you can't write this sort of stuff. This is brilliant. A really beautiful week ahead.
You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
8 after 8, it is a magnificent weekend ahead. It's a beautiful morning out there in Adelaide today as well. And it's a nice short week too if you're heading off to work. Easter weekend, not too far away. Now, we've got some really good news as well here on 5AA. A little bit later today, we'll be replaying, by popular demand, the Villy interview with Graham Corns and conversations that we've received some texts about from people who, in hearing Jane Riley talk about the passing of Villy, said it was one of the best they'd ever heard. And we thought, well, what a wonderful idea. We'll play it again. So conversations with Cornsy today will be with Villy.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
All right, let's break some 8.
Let's break some 8.
I like that term. Then.
That's good. We should run with that one going forward.
Well, I did.
As they say,
I didn't even road test it.
Good. It just felt good off the boot, that one. Hey, 7 years on, something of a line has been drawn under what was one of the more unpleasant and hotly contested episodes in recent South Australian politics. It was the Can You Trust Habib flyer that was distributed in the seat of Elder to 16,000 homes, targeting the Liberal candidate, who was then known as Carolyn Habib, now Carolyn Power. Clearly, the pamphlet was designed to draw attention to her Arabic surname, and the way the pamphlet was drawn, it was a grubby-looking thing. People have compared it to looking like some sort of smoky, sort of pockmarked wall in a Middle Eastern war zone. The other thing, too, was at the time, one of the people who'd been in the news the most was the accused terrorist Mamdouh Habib, who was languishing in Guantanamo Bay. Certainly Ms. Power, then using her maiden name, her father's name, and many other people, even some in the Labor Party, such as the Muslim MP from Western Sydney, Ed Husick, thought that it was dog whistling, that is, designed to make people draw a racist conclusion. Well, last week I caught up with the then Labor MP, Annabel Digance, who was the member for Elder from 2014 to 2018, and she said to me, among other things, that she was never comfortable, indeed disgusted by the pamphlet, and that she blamed what she calls a Labor boys club of party apparatchiks for cooking it up, and saying that she would never have supported such a horrible tactic. Well, I think to his credit, the Labor State Secretary Reggie Martin admitted over the weekend that he had signed off on the pamphlet as Labor's chief at the 2014 election. He said that amid all the other things that he had to authorise at the time, he had it stuck under his nose. He said, I looked at it, I studied it, I checked it, I proofed it, and in that time it didn't come across my mind that it had any kind of racist intention. So he admitted, though, that he did sign off on it, but then he said, I am sorry that the flyer we put out did cause distress. That was never my intention. He said that to Stacey Lee of the ABC on Saturday, who, to her credit, just buttonholed him at the ALP state conference. I think the person who matters the most in all this, though, is still Carolyn Power. I mean, she's the one who had a name bandied about like that, and she's not really of a mind, I don't think yet, to just sort of dust it off and go, oh, well, that's just one of those things that happened. I spoke to her on Friday through her spokeswoman, and she said it was deeply upsetting to me, particularly to my family and my dad, and it is still raw to talk about. I think the lesson for this, and if you put it in the broader context of all the other crap that's going on in politics, particularly federally right now, is that there just needs to be a bit more humanity in this game. Otherwise, people just aren't going to go into it.
That flyer was an absolute disgrace. And I tell you, the pervading attitude in politics that leads to a lot of this stuff, certainly in election campaigns, is the idea and the refrain that, oh, we'll answer that in government. It's sort of this cheeky turn of phrase that suggests, well, you know, these might be problems for us and it might be a bit embarrassing, or maybe it's a little bit beyond the pale, but geez, they're much easier to describe when you're sitting in an office in the state admin building, for example, and not a little rabbit hole at Parliament House.
Yeah.
That's the attitude.
Yeah.
And it excuses so many sins. It's like, well, yeah, but...
The other thing, too, is people have this view that, oh, you know, this happened to me. So,
Yeah.
oh, righty, eh?
Yeah, that's right.
So maybe it should happen to other people.
Yeah.
Is that how it works?
Well, it should never happen again. It's good to see that the people involved have taken responsibility.
Yeah, yeah.
Getting in a lot of interesting texts about the state of the real estate market. Susanna Toot before the break explaining... I'm stunned by that figure still. I actually spoke
Houses
over
are the new toilet paper.
Houses are the new toilet paper, except it's hard to buy 150 of them.
Yeah, that's right. And where do you put them all?
Exactly right. Maybe you store them in the toilet paper. I'm not sure. The fact sheet at ANZ predicting house prices in South Australia will go up by another 13% this year.
That is just ridiculous.
13%. So we're getting texts like this. Nikki in Enfield says, as a first home buyer, I can attest to the fact that my husband and I have decided to get into the property market this year with a townhouse rather than a more expensive house, which would take more time to save a deposit, precisely for the reason of affordability. Low rates, lower deposit required. First homeowner for new homes is $15,000, and the home builder grants $15,000 for building contracts received by 31st of March. We feel like we'd be silly not to. So you've got... So it's a self-fulfilling prophecy when you've got the pressure of the market growing, meaning, in fact, you're actually getting more people wanting to get into the market earlier because they say, as you mentioned, if it's not now, it's possibly never. Scott says the house prices are getting out of hand. The lady directly behind my house sold last week. She was hoping for $420,000, and we thought, you're kidding, for a tidy 3-bedroom, 1-bathroom 70s house. It sold on the first weekend, and local bids got to $470,000 before investors from Melbourne bought it for $510,000, $500,000. What young kids now, if their parents don't give them a giant head start, will never be able to buy a home at this rate. It's getting that way. It's been that way in other places around the world. In Australia, we seem to be... Our attitudes have always been that homes are our investment, more so than anywhere else. It's why our house prices are worth much more than in the US, for example.
Yeah.
Because part of our personal wealth we've often identified with, well, it's the house.
And it's also why things like, death duties and so on are always anathema.
Oh, yeah.
Federally, because people go, no, the one thing you want to be able to do is pass a house on to your kids if you can. So it's a no-go zone. But, geez, I mean, this generation of kids, they're not going to be passing anything on to anybody if it continues at this rate.
Yep. 15 minutes after 8 and time to check traffic. Thanks to Dave Potter, Australia's #1 Honda dealer, second year running, davepotterhonda.com.au.
A smash Hampstead Gardens, OG Road, North East Road affecting inbounds. Salisbury Highway, Park Terrace and Oil Spill. Not far from there, McIntyre Kings Main North Roads intersection has roadworks. The parade approaching Fullerton Road works too in Norwood, holding up citybound. Thanks to RAA's free app, all South Aussies can now find the cheapest fuel in an instant. Download the My RAA app from your app store today. It's free, even if you're not an RAA member. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
Rowi's Sport Show.
How you going, Jill from Aubrey?
If Gillan McLaughlin is doing his job, why doesn't he tell Eddie to get his nose out of other people's business?
Spot on. And you know what? He's not the chairman of a footy club now. He's just a little Benny barbecue, Jill. So tell him to go and get stuffed.
4 p.m. weekdays.
Go on, say it.
Go and get knackered.
Good girl. See, love Jill. Knackered.
Cleaned it up.
Go and get knackered.
Family show.
Rowi's Sport Show on 5AA.
At IGA, you'll find everything you need to celebrate Easter your way. Like Australian beef rump steak, $22 per kilo. And Yarrow's Easter buns, 430 to 480 gram selected varieties, $3.50 each. Now at your local IGA. Offer ends March 30, participating stores only.
You might think having thousands of pals is excessive, but that's not what the team at Parafield Airport Liquor Store think. Because that's how many they have. Sure, they might be made up of over 100 gins, over 200 whiskies, over 300 craft beers, and over 2,000 boutique wines. But they're some of the best pals you could have, and they're always looking for more, even if they are tricky to track down. Parafield Airport Liquor Store. Pals, next to Roulette's Tavern, Kings Road, Parafield.
Here we go. Well, it's Walco Blanky time. I say Walco, you say potato. Sorry, no.
Blanky.
Walco.
Blanky.
Walco.
Blanky, I think.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. Walco
I'm
Blanky.
really catching on.
It is. It's a game we hear in the evenings right across Adelaide. You'll be hearing it a bit this weekend with the beautiful weather we're going to have. Proud pool owners putting their pools to sleep.
Yeah, it's becoming part of the Aussie way of life. Long evenings, magpies warbling, putting your Walco blanket over your pool.
That's right. But winter, it's not coming yet, but it's on the way. No more long shadows. It is time, folks, for the Walco Guardian pool cover.
Yep, sure the fun ends, but you know your pool is looked after during winter with a Walco Guardian pool cover.
It will seal off your chemicals from the light, keep your water clean, and you won't need your pump at all, so you save megabucks.
So get your pool a Walco Guardian for winter now. Your pool will thank you for it. Walco.com.au.
Are you planning on building? Have you thought about the perfect outdoor space yet? Imagine your outdoor living area with garden lights, beautiful paving and lush lawn to lay on with a drink in hand. Before you build, have a chat to the people at Lawn and Landscape Co. Great people with great ideas to help you create your dream outdoor space. Turn your dirt to dreams with Lawn and Landscape Co. Lawn and Landscape Co. Display Centre, 6 Wilton Avenue, Somerton Park, or check out lawnlandscapeco.com.au.
9 News, weeknights at 5, nightly at 6. The switch is on to the news that's live and local. 9 News, made in Adelaide. Get up to $100 instant cash back on top tyre brands at Bob Jane T-Marts. You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
19 minutes after 8, Kate Ellis will join us in just a moment, the former member for Adelaide, about her new book, Sex, Lies and Question Time. She's not answering our phone calls at the moment, David. What's going on?
Oh, I don't know. Not the first time that's happened.
Yeah, do you need to leave the room, or will we have a better chance of her picking up if that's the case?
Maybe.
We will.
She's screening my calls.
Big story expected later today out of Canberra will be the cabinet reshuffle. It's been rumoured for a couple of weeks. There's been negotiation and haggling going on behind the scenes to move Christian Porter and Linda Reynolds. Peter Dutton will take over defence. That's the expectation. This will all become formal later. The big sticking point, according to Laura Jays and others that have been reporting on this, Laura for Sky News, has been Stuart Robert to Home Affairs. That's been the one that has caused the most bickering behind closed doors.
He's the aged care minister at the moment, isn't he?
He's been responsible for all the cyber stuff as well, and has famously, I think, mangled the language on a couple of occasions.
Yeah, he doesn't seem like he's really set the world on fire, that bloke.
Yeah.
I think Dutton will be perfect for defence.
He'll have the right tone,
I
right presence.
I don't think we need to get too bent out of shape either about what the implications are for South Australia with a change in personnel. I don't think there's any evidence that Linda Reynolds has been particularly passionately pro or anti-South Australia. I think she's been always neutral in that role. And taking some of the time making that announcement, though, aren't they, about the subs, about the maintenance jobs?
Yeah, that's really peculiar.
Strange, isn't it?
I
reckon they're sitting on it to make it as close as possible to the South Australian election next year, and that we're going to get them.
Well, I was just thinking, to walk through the politics, there wouldn't be a great appetite amongst Liberal National MPs federally to reward West Australia at the moment, would there? If we're going to say the whole thing's a cynical political exercise.
Yeah, why
don't
we?
Yeah.
Why not?
Just that zany position. Yes. You do get that feeling. And the longer you delay, surely the incumbent shortens in the odds.
Yeah.
So that does make a little bit of sense, and we hope it goes that way. And here's the other thing with Dutton. Dutton takes over defence, and I don't think we'll see any dramatic change to the signed subs contract, because a conservative like Dutton is going to be loath to waste taxpayers' money pursuing an alternate option now, with money committed, which has always sort of been the fear in South Australia, even to this late stage, that at some point in time the federal government might say, you know what, let's just buy a few ready-made ones.
Yeah.
And pay the penalty. I just can't see him.
But I don't think Dutton's that kind of conservative. I think he's like a real social conservative, but he's not like a sort of Institute of Public Affairs, small government, pointy-headed conservative who sits there going, well, you know, that's a waste of money. I think that you can run the sort of, you know, vaguely macho nation-building argument, like, yeah, we can build our own stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of people think that.
Well,
I reckon it'd be more in that camp.
Absolutely, yeah. And certainly your own defence capability as well.
Hey, great news for Mount Gambier with Qantas announcing that they started yesterday. QF2215, the first time the national carrier has flown into SA's second largest city. I've got to say, having done pretty much that entire drive last week, going to Robe and back, it's just a little bit too long. Oh yeah, I would say actually, you could still get down there for a weekend, in your car, but it's a hell of a lot easier for people who just want to fly in and fly out. So, great news, and you know, such a terrific part of the state, like just beautiful down there.
Oh, it's magnificent. I've got a friend who's a teacher there and has lived there for long enough that the drive back to Adelaide is, you know, as routine as a 4-hour drive ever gets, but this makes it so much easier. And if you think of wine regions, and there are people and I know it's not necessarily the thing every average person's going to do, jump on a plane to go and spend a weekend going through a wine region, but there are people that will. And a place like the Coonawarra suddenly is much more within grasp.
Yeah. But the good thing
Panola.
about the southeast is like you don't have to be into the wine to enjoy it. Like there's just so many great things to do down there. Panola is such a pretty little town.
Beautiful part of it.
They've got that wonderful like historical walk that you can do, the Mary McKillop Trail. And if you're just into your tucker, have you ever eaten at the barn?
Yes, it's great.
Oh,
it's beautiful.
What about that eye fillet stuffed with the blue cheese?
Good stuff. 23 minutes after 8, 8223 0000 is our number. You can text us on the Telstra Store Mount Barker text line.
How far would you run to save a life? You can run, or walk, or ride as far as you like, wherever and whenever you like, to help thousands of Australian disaster survivors battling the trauma that now threatens their lives. When you make your own Bolt for mental trauma. Get online now and get your team going. To get fit, raise money, save lives. When you Bolt for mental trauma.
We've all been on the road trip from hell. Car breaks down, map says go this way, but you went that way, and countless are we there yet? The same can be said for home renos. Nobody wants a nightmare on their way to a stunning new kitchen or bathroom. So if you want everything to go according to plan, go with Buy Urban. They've always believed the journey is just as important as the destination. Buy Urban Bathrooms and Kitchens, Adelaide's home renovation experts. Visit buyurban.com.au.
When was the last time you paid attention to your finances? Too frightened to open up that banking app because of what you might find? Well, getting on top of your finances can feel so overwhelming and confusing, but it doesn't need to. Small Change is a brand new Nova podcast packed with short, actionable tips to help you make a big difference to your finances. With 2 5-minute episodes a week, you'll get practical advice that actually feels doable. Small Change. Find it wherever you get your podcasts.
Major road resurfacing works on the South Eastern Freeway between the Toll Gate and Hyson tunnels will be underway until mid-2021. Motorists should expect delays, so allow extra travel time. Visit dit.sa.gov.au/SE Freeway. A message from the Government of South Australia.
5AA Breakfast is streaming live right now. To watch, simply head online to 5AA Facebook or search 5AA on YouTube. Get up to $100 instant cash back on top tyre brands at Bob Jane T-Marts. You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
25 minutes after 8, the former member for Adelaide and Federal Minister Kate Ellis joins us upon the release of her new book. Debut book? First book. Sex, Lies and Question Time. Kate, good morning to you.
Good morning, Will. Good morning, Dave.
Hello, Kate. Hey, I didn't know you were so exciting until I read this book and heard all these crazy rumours about what you'd apparently been getting up to for all those years in Canberra.
Oh, yes, you should really pay more attention. No, I do think it's very kind of you having me on, because the truth is that Dave has heard more than he'd like to hear in his lifetime about this book over the last year, but I am very excited about sharing it with your listeners.
It feels like if you started writing it today, it's the most obvious, the impetus for it is entirely obvious, because the whole conversation nationally is around the culture in Canberra. You obviously started writing this a long time prior. What was the spur that got you started down this path?
Well, I think in the last few weeks, a lot of people have been looking at what's coming out of Parliament House and thinking, geez, why did nobody say anything earlier? And the answer, I think, in part to that is that it didn't really strike me until I left politics and saw how the rest of modern Australia worked, that I saw how outdated the culture within Parliament House was. Before then, I just thought that's the way the world is. And it probably was when I first got involved in politics, but the rest of the world has changed and Parliament House culture hasn't kept up. So, so it's pretty obvious to everyone now that there's a problem with culture, but even a year ago, I actually thought that would be saying something a bit controversial.
Do you feel now, in a way, that the book almost undercooks the extent of the problem because you wrote it prior to all of the spectacular allegations that have been made and indeed are still coming out of Canberra over the last month?
I think what the book does is, just for your listeners' benefit, so what I did was I interviewed elected female politicians from across the political spectrum, 16 different women. And the thing is that I spoke to the most powerful and privileged women in that building, including the most powerful women that have ever been elected in Australia. So their experiences, whilst every single one of them had experience being disrespected because they were a woman and being treated differently, their experiences are very different from, the least powerful women in that building who, we've heard not just of disrespect, but we've heard allegations of actual crimes being committed against them in the building. And that isn't the focus of the book. Like, obviously, the people who most need change are the least powerful women in that building who are really bearing the brunt of it, but everybody cops it to one extent or another.
And the breadth of people you've spoken to gives people, I think, a strong sense that no one political party or ideology has a mortgage on bad behaviour in this area.
Well, that's right. I didn't want to write a party political book. I wanted to have a look at the issue across the board. So, spoke to women, whether they were Labor women, Liberal women, Greens women, Democrat, and Pauline Hanson's and One Nation. So I did say that everyone had a story to tell, but I think it's also true to say that the culture is worst in the parties that have the lowest representation of women, and that just makes sense.
Is that true, though? I mean, I think part of your book actually does the Liberal side of politics a favour, because you reveal that some of the most appalling things that happened to you were done by your own people within the ALP. Well,
Certainly, I'm not claiming that any political party has been completely pure on all of this, but I guess, Dave, what I speak about in the book and what happened to me from my internal colleagues, say back when we came into government in 2007, I also saw the change that our affirmative action policies had, and I just do not think that those things would have happened 10 years later in 2017. I actually witnessed the change in culture, but it wasn't a change in culture right across the parliament. So, I mean, I think there's two things that you do if you really want to fix this. The first is you have a zero tolerance approach to, the sort of disrespect and disgusting behaviour we've seen. Kick them out. The principle is more important than the politics of the day. And the second thing is you actually stand up and you put in place structural change. So you get rid of the boys' clubs and you have equal gender representation. If anyone was really serious about this, and rather than just talking about it, they could do those two things tomorrow, and it would make a massive difference, not just for the people that work in that building, but for the Australians who actually deserve to have a parliament and a government that is respectful and that is going to come up with the best laws rather than carrying on like a bunch of whatever. You're better at inserting the word there that I would probably use.
Well, it'll make compelling reading, and it couldn't have come at a more appropriate time with the nation's focus on Canberra and the culture that exists there at the moment. You comfortable with being referred to as an author yet, Kate?
Well, I note that you said my first book. I think we might put it down as my last book at this point, but we'll see. It might be. It might be your one and only chance, so get out to your friendly bookshops today.
Just amid this orgy of self-promotion, did you manage to get the children to school?
Oh, aren't you doing that?
Oh, gee. Oh, hang on.
Uh-oh.
I better make a couple of calls. Not sure who's in charge.
Kate, appreciate your time this morning. Thanks for joining us.
Great to be with you. Thank you.
Kate Ellis, who was written the book Sex, Lies and Question Time. 5AA News. We'll be back with more in just a moment.
This is Adelaide's 5AA.
Sunny and 24 today with the 8:30 news. I'm Kendall Brettig.
Woken with a stiff neck or sore back? Get a Physio Extra appointment today. 6 locations, physioextra.com.
Uncertain times for some Australian workers after JobKeeper came to an end yesterday. Treasury estimates up to 150,000 jobs could be lost. Federal Treasurer Josh Frydenberg says other support's being delivered to industries impacted by the pandemic.
More than $250 million in direct support to travel agents. We also announced a broader package with half-price airfares to destinations across the country. That is designed to get more planes in the air and more tourists on the ground. We also announced an arts and entertainment package.
Well, Labor has retained its election-winning position as the Morrison government deals with ongoing allegations of bad behaviour in its ranks. More from Nine's Michael Packey in Canberra.
The latest news poll shows the opposition holds a 4-point lead over the government after preferences are taken into account. Labor has been able to retain its position as it continues to pressure the coalition over a series of sexual assault and harassment claims. The survey reveals Scott Morrison's voter approval has dropped 7 points over the past fortnight to 55%, his lowest standing in a year. But the poll also shows that in the separate preferred Prime Minister stakes, Scott Morrison retains a solid lead over Labor's Anthony Albanese.
A woman's in a critical condition after a crash at McLaren Vale last night. 3 cars collided at the intersection of Main Road and Johnston Road. 6 others suffered non-life-threatening injuries. Major crash officers are investigating. A northern suburbs teenager's being remembered as a hero after he drowned off the York Peninsula while trying to save a mate. 16-year-old Ahmad Alfaran of Paralawi was on a school fishing trip when his friend slipped off the rocks at Browns Beach. Superintendent Mark Cyrus says he jumped in to help him.
The rocks down there are very, very slippery. We really see that as a really heroic act to try and rescue his mate.
2 other students and a teacher also jumped in but were able to pull themselves to safety. All clears have been issued for more people in flood-hit parts of Sydney. Evacuation warnings have now been lifted for the Hawkesbury River, which has dropped below minor flooding levels. The SES is working through the process of assessing the damage. In the US, at least 4 people have been killed in flash flooding in Nashville, Tennessee. More from Nine's Michael Genovese.
Police discovered the body of a man inside his submerged car in an overflowing creek. The entire population of Nashville is under a flash flooding warning. The deluge causing mudslides, with 130 people having to be rescued from their cars and homes. Authorities have confirmed at least 4 people have been killed.
The Nine network has requested government help as it investigates a cyber attack which has disrupted live TV programming. Investigations are underway to determine the source of the breach. Assistant Minister for Defence Andrew Hastie says it's a reminder about a constant threat.
I'm not surprised. Last year alone we had 60,000 reports to the Australian Cybersecurity of cybercrime. That's 1 every 10 minutes.
Foreign Affairs is also investigating a potential cyber hack at Parliament House. The email network had to be shut down over the weekend due to an IT issue. Now turning to FIVEaa Sport.
The 19th is West's premium home and land collection with golf course views. Visit the 19th West today.
Here's Tom Wren.
Thank you, Kendall. Port Adelaide has maintained its spot on top of the AFL ladder following the completion of round 2. The Crows are 12th after going down to Sydney by 33 points. Meantime, Fremantle's injury woes have continued after skipper Nat Fyfe was subbed out in yesterday's 31-point win over the Giants. Fyfe suffered a head knock late in the third quarter, but coach Justin Longmuir says he's in good spirits.
Yeah, well, he got concussed and we subbed him out. Like he's good in the change rooms now. He's up and about. He's getting around his teammate. What that means for the next couple of weeks, I'm not sure.
In yesterday's other matches, Dustin Martin was again brilliant as Richmond took care of Hawthorn by 29 points, while Marcus Bontempelli proved the difference in the Bulldogs' thrilling 7-point win against West Coast. And the Crows women will recover today, knowing they can enjoy a week off after finishing the AFLW season on top. They beat Collingwood yesterday by 14 points. Daniel Ricciardo says he's still getting used to his McLaren after finishing 7th in his first race with the team.
We were a little bit, I would say a little bit in no man's land for the majority of the race, just losing ground to the guys in front. But still, I think 7th is a good start.
Mercedes' Lewis Hamilton winning the Bahrain Grand Prix by less than a second to Red Bull's Max Verstappen. And in some soccer news, Adelaide United has cemented second spot on the A-League table after a 1-0 win over Sydney FC. Meantime, wins for Italy, England, Spain, Sweden, Poland and Germany in their World Cup qualifying matches this morning. And that's the FIVEaa Sport.
Now checking FIVEaa traffic.
Dave Potter, Australia's #1 Honda dealer, 2nd year running. DavePotterHonda.com.au.
Big delays at the moment due to a smash Northeast Road, OG Road, Hampstead Gardens for citybound. Also roadworks holding up McIntyre Road, Salisbury East near Main North Road for northbound. And traffic's pretty much at a standstill at the moment as well for the north-south motorway between Wingfield and Regency Park citybound. Get your Woolies worth this Easter with everyday rewards. Spend $20 on fresh meat in a single transaction and and collect 5 times points on your total shop. Ends April 1st. T's and C's apply. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
Make sure you and your car stay cool with aircon and cooling services. Call 1300 Automasters.
Sunny and 24 today, sunny again tomorrow, 27, 29 on Wednesday and up to 30 on Thursday. At the moment 13. More news as it happens on 5AA.
Get up to $100 instant cash back on top tyre brands at Bob Jane T-Marts. You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
22 minutes to 9. The host of Channel 7 Sunrise program, David Kosh, will join us shortly. We'll go behind closed doors and Assistant Police Commissioner Ian Parrott in a moment. But first, David, we've got an announcement on behalf of our parent company, Nova Entertainment.
We have, Will. I'm just going to repeat this a second time. Without reservation whatsoever, 5AA and Nova Entertainment sincerely apologise to Brittany Higgins for the comments made by Jeremy Cordeaux on 5AA's Weekend Breakfast show on Saturday morning. We acknowledge that the comments were completely inappropriate and offensive. The views expressed by Mr Cordeaux do not reflect those held by 5AA and Nova Entertainment, and we unequivocally withdraw them. Mr Cordeaux's employment has been terminated. 5AA and Nova Entertainment have immediately taken broader action to ensure this can never happen again. On behalf of all of us at 5AA and Nova Entertainment, we apologise unreservedly to Ms Higgins.
The South Australian Police are releasing a new campaign. It started Friday, where they'll call drink drivers selfish pricks. Tell us what you really think. Ian Parrott is Assistant Police Commissioner and joins us on 5AA Breakfast. Ian, it's strong language. I'm not sure if we've seen anything quite so strident before. Do you have any concern that the message will be lost among the discussion about the appropriateness of it?
Yeah, good morning, guys. Thanks for having me. No, look, I don't think so. I think we've thought long and hard about this one because it is pretty well out there, but I think it is also reflective of what people actually think and what's going to cut through, particularly for the target group, which is males between 20 and 40 years of age, who we know through our market research are likely to take a few risks and consider their own needs before others.
There can be a degree of machismo about this, Ian, and I remember a few weeks ago where, commendably, I thought off your own bat, you rang him aware that stink on air with the caller who was making a bit of a joke about the fact that he'd made it home one night and caused a crash on the way and didn't even remember it. But there does seem to be... I mean, I can remember the old drink, drive, bloody idiot campaign. I can remember people saying if you drink and drive, you're a bloody idiot. If you make it, you're a bloody legend. I mean, there seems to be this warped sense that it's some sort of act of heroism if you pull it off.
Yeah, look, it's ridiculous. And I was also reminded of that caller from the other week when we were launching this campaign, because that's exactly one of the reasons that the research said is that they didn't want to leave their car where they'd been drinking and have to go back for it in the morning. You know, other things like not wanting to sleep on someone's couch, so, prefer their own bed, or not wanting to waste money on a taxi or something like that. These are some of the selfish reasons that we know that the 20 to 40-year age group, for men in particular, have in terms of why we decide to drink and drive. And I guess one of the reasons we've gone pretty hard on this is because we think that the messaging will cut through to those people. No one likes to be called a selfish prick, but it is also about a bit of self-reflection and a bit of honesty amongst that cohort. And when you reflect back over the last 5 years, for example, we've had over 25,500 people have been arrested, reported or expiated for drink driving. And of those, nearly 11,000 are within this target group of 20 to 40-year-old males. So that's about 40-odd% of that cohort caught drinking over the last 5 years. And then you add to that, there's 54 people who've lost their lives and 123 people over that same period who've suffered serious and often lifelong injuries. So, but even though we've been making some good inroads into drink driving and the messaging around that, there's still clearly a cohort and still far too many people who are taking risks on our roads.
Cohort's a good word, because there's a cohort of people we hear about in our police report every morning at about 6:40 who I put in the I don't give a stuff cohort, and they will have not just been done drink driving, but they'll have been done without a licence, they'll have been done not having a registered car. And it's amazing how often all three of those things turn out to be true. Those kind of people have made an active decision that they don't participate in society. Do you think they're going to care about how they're labelled and how other people talk about them?
Oh, look, I think that also within this target group is we're not necessarily looking at those people who are going out every single weekend, drinking them, and taking a risk and driving, and that type of group. I mean, we have different ways of targeting those people. We're really looking at this group, which it is a bit like a badge of honour, or I'll put me first type of thing, and make the odd decision here and there to drink and drive and not leave their car behind, or to not to waste money perhaps on a taxi and decide to spend it on a few more drinks instead. So. We know that group has a conscience. We know that they generally do the right thing, but they do take stupid risks sometimes. And hopefully this message cuts through, and hopefully it starts a conversation, amongst that group and amongst families and friends and the like as well. And call people out. Don't necessarily use the language, but just call them out for it. And just stop them from drink driving. Maybe encourage them to do something else rather than taking that risk and putting you and me and everybody else on the road at risk when they do that.
Yeah, I reckon it's great that you've done it, Ian. And if it brings a sort of element of shaming into it, where people who do drink drive, and I know some people make one mistake and just go, "Oh my God, what was I thinking?" People are flawed. We all make mistakes, but
and even some of the initial feedback that's come through from various sources is. That some of the people in that target group actually already has started to make them think, because they actually don't want to be labelled like that. And if we can amplify that message and have a few more people thinking a bit more along those lines, then hopefully we're on the right track to save a few more lives from being lost in our roads and prevent people from winding up in hospital.
Yeah, absolutely. Ian Parrott, the Assistant Police Commissioner and Head of Traffic. Good on you, mate. Thank you for joining us this morning. Cheers.
It's 16 minutes to 9 and time for Fuel Watch, thanks to Dave Potter Honda. Petrol has gone back up again over the weekend, but we're not sort of anywhere near that $1.60, $1.70-ish range we saw for a while there. $1.49 is roughly the average you'll see. Cheap spots, the Caltex Edwardstown on South Road, $1.24. $1.23, the BP Connect on Marion Road at Mitchell Park, and $1.23 at the Southern Cross and Fulham Gardens on Grange Road. Speaking of Dave Potter Honda, they also bring us the traffic. They are Australia's #1 Honda dealer, second year running. DavePotterHonda.com.au.
Big delays on North East Road getting into town at OG Road due to a smash. Delays as far back as Grand Junction. Frederick Road in Grange has a hazardous slowing city-bound traffic. The intersection of Main North Kings and McIntyre Road, Salisbury East dealing with roadworks, and Norwood, the parade down towards Fullerton Road, city-bound down to 40 for works. Heading away these holidays, get your camping gear, snacks and Easter goodies from Big W without leaving the car. Simply select direct-to-boot service. Select the stores only. See online for details. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
Hello, I'm Lynn Andrews. At Lynn Andrews Real Estate, we've seen a lot of change in the property market over the last 50 years, but one thing remains constant: our passion to help people invest in the future, to build strong property portfolios in commercial and residential real estate. Our commitment to property investment over the years means we have a wealth of knowledge to share with you. We are here to help. Visit lynandrews.com.au.
At Harvey Norman, your technology specialists save $100 on the great value Asus 14-inch laptop. Now just $348. Acer Aspire 5 laptop with the latest 11th gen Intel Core i5 processor. Now $697, save $300. Or the ultra-portable HP Pavilion laptop, designed for exceptional entertainment, with an 11th gen Intel Core i7 processor, only $1,298. Now at Harvey Norman.
I don't think people understand Kangaroo Island as much as they should. There's no place like an island, and when you land or when you drive off the ferry, you've just got that stretch of water in between. And let me tell you, it's a completely different mindset.
A stunning lifestyle opportunity awaits on Kangaroo Island. Generous lots at the Seaside Emu Bay development are selling fast. View the views. Go to seasideki.com.au.
Now, this sounds like a dream gift for a Mother's Day weekend getaway, a fully hosted, exclusive and premium 3-day, 2-night package to Uluru.
That's right. How's this? It starts with a private jet charter flying direct to Uluru, 5-star accommodation, a stunning Uluru sightseeing tour, a chance to witness the famous Field of Light display, plus a stack of other memorable experiences.
This really is the only way to experience Uluru. You don't fly to Alice Springs and sit on a bus for hours on hours like you do on some tours. This is a direct flight to Uluru by private jet, if you don't mind. Departs May 7. Seats are limited from just $2,039 per person.
Search NT Now, book online at ntnow.com.au or call 1800 854 897.
At IGA, you'll find everything you need to celebrate Easter your way. Like Australian beef rump steak, $22 per kilo. And Yarrow's Easter buns, 430 to 480 gram selected varieties, $3.50 each. Now at your local IGA. Offer ends March 30. Participating stores only.
9 News, weeknights at 5, nightly at 6. The switch is on to the news that's live and local. 9 News, made in Adelaide.
Get up to $100 instant cash back on top tyre brands at Bob Jane T-Marts. You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
12 minutes to 9, the host of Channel 7 Sunrise program, David Kosh, joins us on yet another Monday morning after his power have just romped to victory. Koshy, good morning to you.
Morning, gents.
You're looking a bit scarily good there, Dave.
Yeah, the boys have settled into a really good system. Some really good signs, and yeah.
Are you giving us the 1 week at a time answer there?
No. Big test though is going to be West Coast at Optus this weekend.
Yeah, that's true.
A true test of our mettle. So by sheer coincidence, I've got Easter visiting my grandkids.
Yeah. Hey, Kosh, we might just give you a call back because your phone's just dropping out there. We've been having some trouble with some of the lines, so we'll just get that fixed up and we'll call you back. What we might do in the meantime is go behind closed doors thanks to Aussie Fast Transport Solutions, interstate freight, distribution, warehousing and local Adelaide couriers. Call Aussie Fast 13 13 64.
And when we get behind closed 1395, Adelaide's 5AA. This is the Saturday Sports Show. KG and Cornsey.
Hi folks, welcome to the Saturday Sports Show. Graham Corns with you. And the Chief Petty Officer of South Australian Sport.
No, come on, don't start all that stuff, Starley. Come on, get on with it.
KG Cunningham.
Hello, Starley. How are you, son?
I'm good, Ken. Don't forget, folks, you can ring us on 8223 0000.
Yes, that's the number.
Or email us.
Yes, on air.
Or you can send an MSS.
MSS, yep. What is it, MSS?
Well, actually,
MSS, Starley.
I don't think there's any such thing.
No, that's what I thought.
I've got an email here from Shelley who says, "Hi guys, I tipped the Crows to win last week. I was the only one in my tipping competition to tip them."
Yes, well done, Shelley. Very good.
But Shelley, you're tipping with your heart and not your head.
Well, she was right, Studley.
Yes, I know, but people who know anything about football wouldn't have tipped them.
But they won, Stud.
I know they won, but they weren't supposed to.
Well, says who?
Well, it says anyone who knows anything about football.
Well, you know about football, but you didn't tip them.
Well, that's why you'll find most football experts don't win tipping competitions.
Well, what's the point of being an expert then, Stud?
Well, because you have an insight into the game and a grasp of its intricacies and nuances.
Well, what about people like Shelley?
Well, they don't have that expertise. They just tip in a haphazard way.
And they're the ones that win.
Well, so what?
Because they won, Studley.
Yes, but they didn't do it by careful and informed analysis.
Oh.
They did it by sheer luck.
Well, if you can win it by luck alone, Studley, then what is the point of careful and informed analysis?
Well,
and having a grasp of the intricacies and nonsenses.
Intricacies and nuances.
That's them, yeah.
Well, the point is the expert work we put into it.
Which gets you nowhere.
Yes, but we get there with dignity.
John Blake on 5AA Breakfast. I think we've got Koshy back on a phone that's a little bit better now. Sorry about that, Koshy.
That's right. Back to the landline.
Back to the landline. The old reliable technology.
Thought we'd been hacked. Exactly.
Hey, Koshy, we had a few callers earlier today following up a story that was in the Adelaide papers over the weekend. Some concern from local Alberton residents about the redevelopment the club's doing there, the $20 million redevelopment. It seemed their eye was less directed at the Port Adelaide Football Club than the idea that there's going to be new clubs that are going to be using what was previously public space. What would you say to them? Are you aware that there are some concerns from your neighbours there?
Yeah, absolutely. We've been talking to them for quite a while. We had a community engagement session on the 16th or 15th of February at Cheltenham Community Centre, and we had a number of residents there. We've letterbox dropped all houses within 100 metres of the club, and we've got another one this Wednesday night at at the club as well. So it's been really inclusive. And what we're doing is we're upgrading our facilities in the current training facilities. Remember, we've been there for 140 years, so we're not changing what the area's about. We're extending it. We're upgrading change room facilities to prepare for AFLW, which is really important. We're adding 2 indoor basketball courts and also a soccer field, which will include the derelict croquet club, which has been derelict for 20 years, as part of the facility, and we're allowing the community to use the facilities as well. Like the soccer field will be used by the junior soccer club. The basketball courts will be used by juniors of an afternoon and a night for kids sport. Along with that, we're improving the car parking as well. So, we're very inclusive in the way we're doing it. We want suggestions. It's been all very transparent. The council is very supportive. Our 60,000 members are very supportive of us going forward. So, if people have got concerns, come to this Wednesday night if you didn't come to the previous one. And we've got a whole series of community meetings. But, opening our facilities to the general community, I see as a really good thing. That's what facilities should be all about, I think, being part of the community. And as I say, we've been part of the community at Port Adelaide and at Alberton there for 140 years.
Yeah. Hey, Koshy, one thing I used to remember living in Sydney in the late 90s is house prices ahead of the Sydney Olympics were really starting to go berserk. Was the lament back then, and I think it's definitely true now, so many people go, how can a young couple in their late teens, early 20s who've just started working in an average paid job get into the property market? It feels like that's happening here in South Australia right now too.
It is, but if you look at the facts, the financing of a property now is cheaper than it was when I was paying 17% interest on my mortgage 25, 30 years ago, because interest rates are so low. So repayments as a percentage of your income are actually the lowest for 20 years at the moment. So, and that's all because of this window we have at the moment of low interest rates and being able to lock in those low interest rates. Like there's a massive war going on between the banks at the moment for 2 and 3 year fixed home loan rates, which are down to 1.8%. That's from the big banks. Now, for a 4 year fixed rate home loan, so you fix it so you don't get surprised with any interest rate increases, so you can budget on it. That's what I recommend to most first home owners, and you've got surety of your repayments. They're at extraordinary low levels at the moment, and that's what's tending to fuel the price increases at the moment.
But do you think it's always going to be like that? I mean, that might be the case for 5 years.
No.
Is there a danger that people are going to get hit by the enormity of the amount of money they've got to repay, like 5, 10, 15 years' time?
So what you know, but hopefully the price increases or values go up, so your equity goes up as a proportion of your loan, which is a good thing, and use this period of low interest rates to get ahead of your mortgage repayments, to try and pay down as much as you possibly can. The alternative is that you bring in house price crashes, which I don't think anybody wants. So it's how do you manage it? Now, we're in a bit of a bubble at the moment. Last weekend was the busiest auction weekend since 2018. And clearance rates, auction clearance rates, Sydney, Melbourne, and it was similar in Adelaide, in the 80%. So that reinforces what you're saying. We've got a really a property market that's starting to overheat. Most of the analysts are expecting that to cool down in the second half of the year because more stock will come on and also the regulators are having chats with the banks saying, you just be careful of your lending policy. Make sure anyone who borrows can handle the loans.
It's great advice because it's explosive here in Adelaide at the moment, the real estate market. Koshy, appreciate your time, mate. Good to speak to you.
Good on you guys. Thank you.
It's coming up to 2 minutes to 9.
We can move the world for you. Cameron's Can Do. Cameron's.
For over 45 years, Cameron's can-do attitude has seen it weather many challenges, including a pandemic of major proportions. Now in 2021, Cameron's is ready to meet the challenge of managing our clients' logistics around the nation and help drive Australia's economic recovery. What can Cameron's do for you? Camerons.com.au.
We can move the world for you. Cameron's Can Do. Cameron's.
Planning a new home? Careful. Bundling your curtains and blinds into your loan could cost you much more through interest. Jake from Country Blinds has a solution.
Call Country Blinds and we'll give you more choice than a builder and an amazing price on a whole-of-home package of custom curtains, blinds and awnings made right here in SA.
Get great quality service and value. Let Country make it for you. Visit countryblinds.com.au.
Everybody loves their country.
Now, there's quite a few stages in life, but it's not until you get to the 19th that things really become about you. Welcome to the 19th at West, a long-awaited home and land collection offering uninterrupted views across the manicured fairways of the Grange Golf Club, the best golf club on planet Earth, and the tree line at Linear Park Walking Trails.
Might see Tom Wren when you're down there. Act now, secure your pre-launch viewing of this premium home and land release. Choose from a curated selection of fixed-price Torrens titled packages, each meticulously designed to make the most of this coveted location.
This is a rare opportunity to live a luxury lifestyle in your own architecturally designed home by Williams Burton Leopardi. It's an unrepeatable opportunity, so make sure you're a part of it. Visit the19thwest.com.au.
Get up to $100 instant cash back on top tyre brands at Bob Jane T-Marts. You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
That's just about us done on this Monday morning. Enjoy the morning if you're out and about in it. Enjoy the weather. This is going to be a beautiful Easter week in Adelaide.
And look, tomorrow's going to be a very special show when our very own Ken KG Cunningham is vaccinated on air. What about that?
Don't build it up. He's getting nervous. I can feel his nerves in the ether.
He'll be all right.
He'll be all right.
He'll be all right.
That's tomorrow morning on 5AA Breakfast. Stick around. Leon Biner coming up in just a moment.